Only 85 mythics and rares, I could go over that. Yeah, it's probably not going to take too long to go over it. I'll probably try to cover everything as opposed to only some of the stuff because there's less things to talk about. But anyways, thanks everyone for like stopping by for the beginning of this Dominaria United Rare and Mythic set review for Limited. So the first card we have is Anointed Peacekeeper, 2 and a white, creature human cleric vigilance. The Anointed Peacekeeper enters the battlefield, look at the opponent's hand, and then choose any card name. Spells your opponent's cast with the chosen name cost 2 more generic to cast. Activate abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So this looks like it's more of like a constructed card. It's a 3 mana, 3/3 vigilance. I mean, that's still good. It's not dramatically different from like a 3/2 vigilance for 3, which people generally don't want to play, but like the extra point of toughness does matter, and you're getting information about your opponent's hand is nice too, and you know, it feels like sort of a twist on like Elite Spellbinder, but it doesn't have flying, and if the Peacekeeper dies, then you don't get like the cost increase anymore. So it's like a trade-off, but it can technically affect multiple spells or multiple abilities. I'm assuming this is probably more nasty if you are naming activated abilities, like maybe it was some kind of tap ability your opponent wanted to use over and over again, making it cost 2 more is a big deal. So it seems like a good card. I don't know if it's gonna be a bomb. It's not like Spellbinder's probably would have been better just because it's a flyer, but this is potentially more relevant if you hit like an activated ability that your opponent would want to use multiple times during the course of the game. So, anyways, Archangel Raph, 2 and double white, creature angel, kicker black and or red. You pay an additional black or red as you cast a spell. Flying lifelink, so, and then when Archangel Raph enters the battlefield, it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to any target. When Archangel Raph enters the battlefield, if it was kicked twice, it deals 2 damage to any target. It's a 3/4. So like a 3/4 flying lifelink is already very good. Like lifelink and flying are a good combination of abilities. And then if you are playing like, you know, black or red mana, or you have black or access to black or red mana, you know, being able to do 2 damage to like 2 things and gain 2 life, right? Because you're gaining life because this is a lifelink creature. So this I would say is a bomb. Like, maybe not so much if you're only playing mono white, but I think if you're playing at least like black or red, this is going to basically like change the game for you. There's a lot of X2s you could kill. Also could get like the last bit of lethal damage potentially, aiming at the opponent's face, like, or if they don't have a target that would die to 2 damage, for example. But yeah, 3/4 lifelink's very good, and then, you know, dealing damage and gaining life is also very good. Right, Danitha Benalia's Hope, 4 colorless white, legendary creature human knife, first strike vigilance lifelink. That's a lot of abilities. When Danitha Benalia's Hope enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand onto the battlefield attached to Danitha. So, I mean, a 5 mana 4/4, that's not like the most impressive stat line, but like first strike, vigilance, and lifelink does mean your opponent needs to like deal with this. And like first strike obviously makes it so it's like, oh, it's hard for them to like double block it down. Yeah, it has a lot of keywords for like a 5-drop. You know, and I think this is also more of like a constructed card because there aren't that many auras or equipments in the format you would want to play, as far as I can tell. I can like look at auras and enchantment. I mean, it's just like a really good thing to put stats onto, but I don't know what else would put stats onto it, right? But yeah, it is really hard to block down a 4/4 first striker. And then like the lifelink means and lifelink and vigilance means you can't ignore it. It's like basically there's a Vanquisher's Axe as equipment, a Hero's Heirloom. And yeah, there's like basically almost no equipment in this format. Not that like equipment would really go to the graveyard anyways. It's like equipment usually doesn't go to the graveyard, and there's like one aura to put on it, Hammer Hand. So I think this is more meant as like a constructed plant, like if you want to play Pioneer and an Orange Knight. Yeah, Hammer Hand. So it's like this is more of a constructed plant. Is you just like I think you're supposed to combo with Colossus Hammer. You're supposed to combo with Colossus Hammer. So, but I mean that's not legal in this set, obviously. So this is very good. You know, I don't know if I would like force white for it. I guess you could splash for it because it is only a single white pip. You could splash for it. And, you know, 4/4 is really big. Like I was saying yesterday, I think to the format that's just mono X3s and stuff mostly. So, like, a 4/4 looks really good in that world. I mean, you know. So I'd say it's very good. Alright, Defiler Faith, 3 colorless, 2 white, creature Pyrexian human vigilance. As an additional cost to cast white permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost 1 white less to cast as if you paid life this way. This effect only reduces the amount of white mana you pay. So it's like basically it gives like Pyrexian mana cost to something. Hey there, Sirgowitz, how's it going? And then whenever you cast a white permanent spell, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token 5/5. So it's a 5/5 vigilance for 5. I mean, we've had that at uncommon before. Right? It was like... It was in green, though. It was like Vigilant Bailoff or something. And it was like a 5-mana 5/5 vigilance. I mean, this gives you like some tempo increase at the cost of life. Like, you can pay, you know... Like, paying life to get things out faster is not bad. I mean, you can't abuse it too much since you've already paid 5 for this, but later on, like, I mean, if it lets you double spell, you know, paying the life is actually, like, relevant, like, being able to double spell, like, white spells, and then, you know, this encourages you to play white permanents, right? Because it only triggers off white permanent, but it kind of goes in the theme of, like, white go wide, which I talked about yesterday. So, yeah, I would say it's like verging on like bomb territory. Like it's not going to instantly take over the game, but if you have like a couple of permanent spells after this, and then like a team pump or like a sacrifice outlet, it's kind of cool. Hey, where's Paula? How's it going? Alright. I just stayed up really late last night watching level 99 Irby, so I kind of out of it. But I said I was gonna do this set review, and then probably just stop at that point. But anyways, thanks for stopping by. We're just doing rares now. Guardian New Benalia, 1 colorless, 1 white, creature, human, soldier, and list. As this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature until end of turn. I'm not gonna explain Endless every time, but I just thought I would say it this time. It says whenever Guardian of Benalia enlists a creature scry to discard a card, Guardian of Benalia gains indestructible until end of turn, tap it. So this is kind of like Hallowed or Seasoned Hallow Blade, except it's a 2/2 and it has enlist. And I mean, it's a rare. Like, this could potentially be really big, you know, like, enlisting. Like, it could be like a 4-2 or a 5-2 attacker, or perhaps even more. And it's also gaining you, you know, advantage, or at least scrying every time. So as long as you can, like, fuel this is actually a pretty scary attacker. I think I was talking about enlist and, like, comparing it to the, I was comparing it to, like, the attacking alone mechanic from Neon, and, like, I think this is, like, better. This is, like, it's not exactly the same thing, but it's, like, it's a similar concept. It's, like, you're giving up having two bodies attacking for, like, one, but then, you know, enlist means you're not necessarily losing out on the damage, because you can add, a creature that's not attacking damage to this one. So this could actually be a big deal. Obviously, be aware of, you know, -2/-2, or whatever, the black removal spell, because that just destroys this without you being able to, you know, do anything about it. But, yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, that black common removal spell looks better with all the indestructibles flying around, or ways to give indestructible. Right, Ley Line Binding, 5 color and white, enchantment, flash, domain. This spell costs 1 color less to cast for each basic land type among lands you control. When Ley Line Binding enters the battlefield, exile a target non-land permanent the opponent controls until Ley Line Binding leaves the battlefield. So, in, like, a 2-color deck, this is basically cast out without cycling. But if you're getting into, like, 3 or 4-color territory, then you're thinking about, oh, it's like Flash O-Ring, or it's like Flash, Flash, you know, better than O-Ring. I mean, obviously, it's not the same thing as O-Ring because of the way it's worded. It doesn't have, like, 2 triggers like O-Ring. Like, they kind of moved away from, having 2 triggers on, like, exile, on, like, you know, Fiend Hunter type things. Aside from, like, I guess Skyclave Apparition, which does work like that, but everything else. But, I mean, it's because, like, Skyclave Apparition is, like, special. But, I mean, this is gonna be pretty good. Like, it's going to be a card you're going to want even in your 2-color deck, but, like, in your 3 or 4-color deck, you're gonna be pretty happy about it. You're gonna be really happy about it because it's gonna be so affordable. Like, spending 2 mana to deal with, like, their 3 or 4 mana threat, or possibly even more, is, like, a big deal, right? I wouldn't say they're the bomb, but it's gonna be very good. Like, it's gonna be a very efficient removal spell in those domain decks. It's gonna be, like, good in other non-domain decks. But again, you know, it feels like removal, again, like we're talking about removals being getting worse because, you know, all the ETB abilities. There's, like, 3 things in this set that, like, draw a card on, or 3 creatures on this set that ETB or whatever, they draw a card. And then there's, like, another creature that dies into a card, but I guess it's different because it dies into a card, and then the exiling gets around that. It didn't die. Let's see. So Sarah Paragon, 2 colors, 2 white, creature, angel, flying. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land card from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains when this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, exile it, and you gain 2 life. So, yeah, this looks good. It looks pretty good. Like, it's not, like, infinite recursion, because, like, they could, like, as soon as you cast it the first time, like, and then if it dies again, then it's gone. But you also gain life, which is kind of relevant when the sub dies, and if there's, like, I didn't really see, like, a blinking effect, but if you, like, return that, like, if you cast a permanent spell from your graveyard, and then you bounce that permanent back to your hand, it would lose this text. Yeah, Saragon, yeah. Aragorn? Saragon? The, So yeah, this could be really obnoxious. It's not like infinite, like I said, it's not infinite recursion, but getting to cast your permanents, and you can also play lands from your graveyard, because there are like a couple things that can let you in black-green that can let you get lands into your graveyard. So like playing a land is kind of relevant, and then it's, I guess it's not like they're like lands usually don't go into the graveyard from the battlefield that much, but like in constructed there might be like applications where you play Den of the Bugbear from your graveyard, or Field of Ruin from your graveyard, and then you can Field of Ruin again, and it gets exiled, and you gain 2 life. Yeah, fetch lands, right? Yeah, so I think this is going to be very good. I mean, it's a Mythic, you probably won't see it very much, but it's going to be very good. You're probably going to be annoyed when your opponent plays this. You're going to be wondering, I wish I had a 4 damage removal spell. Like I was saying that yesterday, the difference between 3 and 4 is a lot in this format. Alright, Sarah Redeemer, 3 colorless, 2 white, creature, angel, soldier, flying. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, put 2+1/+1 counters on that creature. So this is actually incredibly terrifying if you are playing the mono 1/1 token maker deck. Because there's a lot of ways to make 1/1 tokens, and like making all your 1/1 tokens enter as like 3/3s is a huge deal. And then, there's also plenty of like 2 power creatures, and like some of the enlist creatures are actually like very low power, high toughness. So like putting power on your enlist creature or power on the creature you want to tap for your enlisting, and I don't know if maybe you do that for some reason. You decide to pump the creature you're tapping for the enlist as opposed to the attacking creature with the enlist on it, maybe. But there's like a lot of, well, no, I mean, no, I don't know what I was saying. Like, no, it's just when it enters the battlefield, right? You don't get to choose, but I'm just saying, like, there might be, like, situations where, like, I mean, just having, like, additional power and toughness is always going to be good. So, like, yeah, if you have, like, 0 creatures with power 2 or less in your deck, then, this is really bad. Because it's a 5-mana 2/4 flyer, but this just basically makes all of your 2-drops into like relevant cards late game, unless like they're 3/1s or something. But I digress. I would say that's gonna be like it's like deck dependent, but like I think in like the average deck, it's gonna be very good. Alright, temporary lockdown. 1 white, or sorry, 1 colorless, 2 white enchantment. When temporary lockdown enters the battlefield, exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until temporary lockdown leaves the battlefield. I actually feel like this is more of a constructed plant, because there's like constructed formats where the only non-land permanents people play cost like 1 or 2. This is probably not a card you would want to main deck, but I could definitely see this in limited, like if you sideboard into it versus the token deck. It's going to be pretty insane, because you just make all those tokens go away. Right? Like, I think I think they've had a similar thing, like Ritual of Slit. But that was black, and it was also destroyed the creatures. And this can get, like, non-land permanents, like equipment. Like, there's a couple equipments in the set, and I guess cheap sagas could get exiled. So, yeah, I don't think there's gonna be, like, a reason necessarily to be white, and there's gonna be some decks where you don't even actually want to play it. But I think, like, this is definitely, like, a good sideboard card in Limited. Looks like a very solid sideboard card in Limited if you run into the token. If your opponent's like all on tokens or like cheap creatures and you're not. Like maybe you have like 4 2-drops and your opponent has like 9 2-drops in their deck. Etc. Alright, Urza assembles a Titans, 3 colorless, 2 white, enchantment saga, read ahead. Choose a chapter and start with them a lore counter. Add 1 after your draw step. Skip chapters don't trigger. Sacrifice after 3. like 1 scry 4, then you may reveal the top card of your library. If a planeswalker card is revealed this way, put it in your hands. 5 mana scry 4. Yeah, I mean it's like wait, not Riddle of Lightning. I was like thinking Riddle of Lightning, but that's a different card, right? Because that actually does damage. But this is a saga. Like, sagas are generally known for being either very, very good because they generate so much value, or they're like, and occasionally they're bad, like hence like Fall of, or like really situational, like Fall of Lord Conda or something, but I don't think in Limited this is gonna matter, like, the actual hit a Planeswalker, because, like, that's not likely to happen. So it's like, it's basically just like the first part is 5 mana Scry 4, and then, like, the second part is unlikely to do anything Limited, and then part 3 is just like, yeah, that's also unlikely to do anything. So I'd say this is, like, unplayable in Limited. Even if you had, like, 2 Planeswalkers, I wouldn't want to play it. This is basically a constructed plant. So yeah, just don't play this in Limited. Alright, Valiant Veteran, 1 color is white, creature core soldier. Other soldiers you get +1/+1, and then 3 colors, 2 white, exile Valiant Veteran from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control. So this is like a tribal lord. Let me like just really quickly check how many soldiers there are in Dominaria United, because that will actually make it. Let's see what we got. Soldier. There's actually a decent number of soldiers in the set, and like all the tokens, right? All the 1/1 tokens that created are soldiers. So this could actually be really, really insane in your soldier token deck, or deck with other, like, you know, common. I mean, there's like, wait, there's like 3 common soldiers, but there's a lot of soldier makers though. Like, these are just creatures that have the soldier type, but there's a lot of things that just make a soldier. So, you know, like, look soldier. Yeah, see, like, Argivian Cavalier, the Captain's Column makes soldiers. The Rare I just talked about makes soldiers. This Keldon Strike Team makes soldiers. Pyrexian Warhorse makes soldiers. Scout the Wilderness makes soldiers. Yeah, so that has a possibility to be really, really insane. Or just be really bad. Like, if you aren't... Like, if this is your only soldier in your sealed pool, then don't play this unless you need, like, a 2/2. But... So, like, I'd say it's contextually good, but contextually bad also, if you don't have the support for it. There's a lot of ways to make soldier tokens in this set. This has the potential to be really good. Alright, we're on the blue cards now. Academy Lore Master, double blue, creature, human, wizard. At the beginning of each player draw step, that player may draw an additional card. If they do, spells they cast this turn cost 2 generic more to cast as a 2/3. I mean, 2 mana 2/3 is good. It's kind of hard to cast, which is a little awkward. Like getting it out on turn 2 is like might mean you need to be playing like 10 islands and stuff. It's interesting because so the way this works is that like if you have like a flash deck, like if you're operating mostly at instant speed, this actually isn't even the downside for you, because you can, like, if you know you're planning on like just passing the turn with like a counter spell, then you're actually fine with like drawing the extra card, right? But this could definitely cause like some confusion sometimes about like this effect. It just seems like a little bit confusing to keep track of in like paper, because you have to like, because it affects both sides. Like your opponent also can draw an additional card, but like it's possible like their deck is not good at mitigating this, and like also like having a flat tax on something is usually easier to deal with when you're playing like one spell a turn or something like that. But then on the other hand, like if you're trying to play, like say you wanted to play your 6-drop on a specific turn, you don't like your 6-drop creature, then you don't actually want to draw the card because you have to play, because unless you have 8 mana or something. So like there's going to be a lot of like decision making around this card. I don't think it's like a, it definitely doesn't seem like it's a bomb. Like this could actually backfire on you. So I would just say it's like fine to like goodish depending on how much you've built around it. But again, I just feel like this is a card that's gonna be really hard to keep track of at like your pre-release. So. Alright, Aether Channeler, 2 colors, 1 blue, creature, human, wizard. When Aether Channeler enters the battlefield, choose 1. Choose a, so create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Return another target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Draw a card, and it's 2/1. So this is like the Callous Blood Mage of the set. Except it has like one more. It has like, I bet Callous Blood Mage had like the grave, like, let's see, Callous Blood Mage again. Yeah, you could exile a graveyard or something like that instead of bouncing a creature. I mean, getting a 1/1 white bird flying creature isn't bad. It's not like Eldrazi Sky Spawner, but I mean, you're also, it's like flexibility. Like, do you want a 1/1 flying token, or do you want like Mana War, or do you just want to draw a card? Like, it doesn't do any of those things very efficiently, but it gives you a lot of flexibility. So this is a card you'll play, but it's not necessarily like an amazing draw into like blue or whatever. It's just like very efficient. Like you'll play it if you're in blue, but you're not gonna like necessarily go out of your way to like force blue for this card. Alright, Cosmic Epiphany, 4 colorless, 2 blue sorcery. Draw cards equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. I think this is probably not meant to be played in limited. Because I was looking at instants and sorceries in the set, and I don't think it just doesn't seem like there's enough like instants and sorceries that would make it like I'm assuming that's most likely, this is most likely like a 6 mana draw 3 or something, or draw 4, which just is not like, it's just not that broken anymore, right? So I think the thing I don't see in like these instant and sorceries is not enough of them like make like a board presence just by playing it. Yeah, it's not Strixhaven where you can play like 20 instants and sorceries because you have all these learn cards and also like summonings. It's like learn cards are basically like two instants and sorcery, or 2 sorceries or whatever. Or like it's like 2 things. It counts as 2 things because you're getting like you're getting the learn card itself, and then you're getting a lesson afterwards. And then like the lesson will like summon you a creature. But like Fate Reforged actually had like manifestation cards and stuff, which kind of also was like, oh, this gives you something to work, not ghost form. I think it was like, I don't know what I was thinking of. It was like the card from like Fate Reforged that like manifests. Fate Reforged, Mythic spoiler. Oh, Cloud Form, yeah. So like this is, well, that's an enchantment anyways, never mind. Yeah, never mind. But if there was like more instants and sorceries that made a creature, I'd be a little bit more like solid on this. So I don't think you should play this, basically, in your draft or sealed deck. Unless you're like trying to meme, I would avoid playing that Cosmic Epiphany. Defiler of Dreams, 3 colorless, 2 blue, creature, Pyrexian, Spanx, flying. Is additional cost of cast blue permanent spells, you may pay 2 light. Those spells cost 1 blue less to cast if you pay life this way. This effect reduces only the amount of blue mana you pay. Whenever you cast a blue permanent spell, draw a card. Okay, so this actually has, like, also, like, a pretty good benefit to being, like, heavy blue and having blue permanents. I think the only thing that might be hard is that, like, the blue decks seem to be more interested in playing instants and sorceries. And this only triggers blue permanent spells. So, you know, there might be a deck where this isn't good as it could be, but I mean, I think you'll just always play this in your deck. I mean, like a 5 mana 4/3 flyer is still quite playable, and like again, the tempo advantage of paying Pyrexian mana for stuff is going to be pretty solid. You know. So I'm assuming that this is going to be much better in like those permanent heavy blue decks, which I don't know. I don't know about you, but I definitely had a bunch of sealed pools that have like 3 blue creatures in them. But I mean that's also just like sealed, right? Sometimes you get like sealed pools with like, you know, 10 blue creatures and no instants and sorceries. It's definitely gonna be a good card, and you'll definitely play it, and you'll try to like play blue for like the Defilers. Definitely. Alright, Hadi Jin. Not to be confused with the whatever that other card was. I think it was like creature Jin flying. Hadi Jin's power is equal to the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So it's like Enigma Drake. It's like Enigma Drake had like crossed with Goblin Electromancer. So it's like this is like a a win condition that also makes it easier to fuel itself. So again, this is gonna be like deck dependent. There's probably gonna be some decks where this is like a 1/4 flyer and you're not gonna be that happy about it. And there's gonna be some decks where this is like a 6/4 flyer and for 3 mana. It's kind of insane there. It's like deck dependent. But like the blue decks are probably going to have, like, ideally they're probably going to have like 9 instants and sorceries or more. You know, because like there's no enchantment, there's no like claustrophobia in this set. You know, so like it's not like you're going to be using up like some of your removal slots on like enchantments or whatever in like your base blue. Like maybe if you're playing white, you'll have like enchantments, but yeah, so it's deck dependent. It's Silver Scrutiny X 2 blue sorcery. You may cast Silver Scrutiny as though it had flash if X is 3 or less. Draw X cards. This is probably not great. Like, if you told me about this card like 10 years ago, I probably would have said it's amazing. But nowadays, I just think like a big card draw spell like this is like sort of not necessary anymore. Like, it is nice that you get the option of, like, if you're in a pinch, or, like, say you want to play at flash speed or something like that, you can just, like, do this for, like, 3 or whatever, like, or pay 5 mana and get 3 cards at the end of your opponent's turn. Like, the flexibility is not bad. I'm just saying, like, I don't think Jace's Ingenuity is that great. Even the score, yeah, it's similar. I guess even the score cost 1 more. Like, the base on this is kind of like Jace's Ingenuity, or, you know, sometimes you play as his inspiration when you're in a rough spot. But neither of those cards are, like, particularly great, like, nowadays, like Jace's Ingenuity or Inspiration. Like, I guess late game, there's gonna be some story where, both people have like 10 lands in play or something like that, and then like one person casts Silver Scrutiny for like 8 mana, and then they probably win the game at that point. But you also don't know about all the times like your opponent casts Silver Scrutiny for like 2. It's pretty meh. So It's a card you'll play in blue, but like probably in your slower blue deck, not like your beat down blue deck. I don't know. It is also an instant and sorcery that like replaces itself, which is like relevant because like with those instant and sorceries matters cards, you really want instant and sorceries that either replace themselves with another card or a creature. Alright, Spanx of Clear Skies. 3 colorless, 2 blues, creature Spanx, flying, ward 2. Domain, whenever Spanx of Clear Skies deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile in your hand and the other in your graveyard. So it's like, it's basically like you get a Factor Fiction if you have like 4 land types. Or, sorry, I guess you need 5 land types, right? I mean, it's already just like, this is already really insane because the 5 mana 5/5 flyer with ward 2. That's already like insane. And like, if you only have 2 land types and you hit your opponent, it's like, oh, you basically you get to choose like they're basically just always going to give you like 2 1-card piles, right? So yeah, I mean that actually looks good, right? Because you also get to make the choice between the piles. So it's like you always get what you want. Spanx a Clear Renunciation. Yeah, I mean you're always gonna get, yeah, even a mono blue would draw. Well, yeah, that's true. Because they just put, yeah, even in mono blue, you always get 2 cards. So basically, it's just like it's like Ophidian when it hits them or whatever, and then, yeah, you just get a card. It also fuels your graveyard, if that matters too. Like if you have like more higher domains. But I mean, obviously, if you get up to 4 or something like that, 4 or 5 domain, it's just completely just game breaking. But it's already just like, this is basically like probably gonna be like one of the best mythics in the set. Basically, this is like a mega bomb. There's like a reason to play. It's like you just play blue if you have it. All right, Phasing of Zhalfir. 2 colorless, 2 blue enchantment saga. Read ahead. 1/2. 1 and 2. Another target non-land permanent phases out. It can't phase in for as long as you control the Phasing of Zhalfir. And then 3. Destroy all creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a 2/2 black Pyrexian creature token. Yeah, it's a blue board wipe. It's kind of funny. I believe this is like the last blue board wipe that that they want to allow in Magic or something like that. Apparently, they said something about like they don't want this to be part of the blue color pie anymore. But it's got like some interesting possibilities. Like you can phase out permanents you control so that they don't get killed by the board wipe, right? But it's obviously got a lot of downside because you can definitely just like still die to like these 2/2s. And like phasing out your own stuff means you don't get the block with it. And then I guess you could always skip to 3 and just destroy everything, but like you'd have to come up with situations where you know, destroying all creatures is good or whatever, and sometimes it could be bad because it's actually upgrading 1/1s into 2/2s. Like, I could see this being better, like, if you have a bunch of 1/1 tokens, and then you get to upgrade them into 2/2s. But this definitely feels like an effect that I don't think you would, like, main deck this. I think you bring this in if, like, your opponent's playing, like, the green fatty creature deck or something like that, and you don't have any other way of dealing with it, then this can, like, reduce those, like, 4/4s into 2/2s, but then you still have to deal with something. So, I don't know. I mean, traditionally, I don't think those, like, effects are, like, that great or whatever, because they've had things, I think it was, like, Curse of Swine, which was, like, a targetable destroy spell, and that wasn't even, like, good in that format. Because, like, sometimes you just, like, lose the boar tokens. So, yeah, I don't think this is good, but maybe you bring it in if you have, like, a specific situation, like I talked about with the tokens, your opponent having large green creatures. Right, Vesuvian Duplimancy, 3 colors, 1 blue, enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that artifact or creature, except it's not legendary. Yeah, this feels more like it's gonna be constructed. Like, I don't think you should try to play this in like, draft or seal. Like, there's just... Like, you'd have to be playing a bunch of stuff that targets your things. And it has to be single target, too, right? So it has to target a single thing, so you can't, like, cast, like, you know, a multi-targeting pump. Like, it's a commander card. Yeah, so I would just, like, don't put this in your limited deck unless you have, and you're like trying to meme or something, because it seems really bad. Your Bodalian Hexcatcher, 1 color, 1 blue, creature, merfolk, wizard, flash. Other merfolk you control get +1/+1. Sacrifice a merfolk. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1 color, 1 generic. It's not 1 colorless. 1 colorless actually has, like, the eye symbol or whatever, the diamond symbol. This is just 1 generic, but I don't know how many merfolk there are in this set. Like, I've seen a few, but I don't... This might be harder to make work than that soldier thing. Like, if my instinct is right or whatever. I mean, yeah, there's like 2 common merfolk in the set. So, yeah, I also don't think, like, the sacrifice of merfolk is really going to come up, and then, you know, buffing your other merfolk. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to come up a lot, like, buffing your merfolk. So this seems kind of medium to bad and, like, limited. It does have flash. I'm sure there's going to be some situation where you like buff these at instant speed. You buff, like, your Sea Scavenger into a 4/3 at instant speed, but it's just going to be, like, something that you like sigh and then, you know, clip it and then put it onto, like, you know, Channel Fireball top 10 or something. Yeah, the Cleric Lord is also, like, really weird. Yeah. Especially because this feels like also Clerics hasn't been, like, a creature type that they've, you know, done a lot with. But I feel like just doing zombies or vampires would be pretty boring. So I think that's why they did, you know... Yeah, there's, like, 3 common Clerics in the set. A Vidalian Mindsinger, 1 colorless, 2 blue, or one generic, 2 blue. Creature, merfolk, wizard. Kicker, 1 generic red and or 1 generic green. Vidalian Mindsinger enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters for each time it was kicked. So the way it works is that you can pay 5 mana to get a 4/4, or 7 mana to get a 6/6, or 3 mana to get a 2/2, and then you can only steal something with, like, less than its power, and as long as you control it. Yeah, it's still not a lot. There's more clerics than merfolk, yeah. Right. So this actually seems really fair for, like, a mind control effect. It's definitely not, like, Sower of Temptation. Like, if anybody's familiar with that card, like... It does have, like, aforementioned merfolk synergies, but you're probably not trying to, like, sack that to do things. Like, you probably don't want to, like, sack this to do the Merfolk. Like, I guess buffing it is actually relevant because it means, like, it has, like, a higher power to, like, gain control something. But this definitely feels like a card, that's only super good if you're playing at least one of these colors. Because I think, like, a 3-mana 2/2 that steals, like, a 1/1 or a 1/3 is not going to be that great. Right? It's also kind of fragile, too, if you aren't kicking it. Because, like, a 2/2 dies with, like, a lot of stuff. Whereas a 4/4 will be a little bit more resilient, but... Yeah, it doesn't seem, like, as backbreaking as, like, a lot of the control effects tend to be. But... It also is not good with, like, blinking effects either, since it's kicker that makes it more powerful. You know? So it's like something you'll play when you're at least 2 of the colors, but I don't think you're going to be playing this in like your blue-white deck, or like if you in your blue-white or blue-black deck that has no way to make red or green mana. It's just like not enough targets, I don't think. We could like actually check that too. Look at power. Less than or equal to 1. I guess there's actually a lot. I guess like if you look at this, there's like 39 creatures with like 1 or less power. Okay, I guess it's actually not that. But well, that doesn't count. This doesn't count because it's actually going to be like a 4/4 or 5/5, and this doesn't really count either. Like there's some XX stuff that doesn't count. It's like illegal target. Yeah, you could. This could be funny, like if you steal like defenders, because like the defenders in this set I was saying yesterday, they don't have like much power or toughness really, so it's like the defenders are definitely could be a valid steal target for like the Merfolk thing, even if you aren't kicking it. Like it's actually reasonable to play it in mono blue, it's just it's not like great or whatever. You're not making the best use of it. Alright, we're on the black already. Kind of moving quickly. Raids Arisen Nightmare, Legendary Creature Nightmare. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. So it's a 3-mana 3/3, it's a little hard to cast. Triggers during your end step. It's sort of like a twist on the old braids. You know, you can, like if you have like excess soldier tokens, you can sack them, and then, to try and like force your opponent to sack stuff, and if they don't sack, then you get to draw a card and they lose 2 life. So this is like a reasonable win condition if you have like enough ways to generate fodder, and even if you don't, like it's just a 3/3 for 3, There's only one card in the set that even lets defend. Yeah, like there's some defender payouts, but they're not as good as the ones from like some of the older sets, like Rise of the Eldrazi, and I think even like one of those core sets actually had like, no, I think it was like Iconic Masters that had like Defender Tribal as a thing you could do too. But also hate a Jinx Shank. So Ravnica Allegiance, right? Because it had High Alert. Yeah, and we were talking about that bull. I think it was like Walking Bulwark or whatever. And the reason it seems really bad is because you have to pay 2 mana to you have to pay 2 mana for the creature to be able to attack, and then it doesn't assign, it won't actually assign damage based on its toughness unless you've paid the mana. So it's like it feels like really, really clunky. That card. Because it only, like, it's not like a static ability. I guess it would be kind of broken on like a 1-drop if it had generically High Alert on there. It would be like, it's kind of broken. But so yeah, you'll play this obviously if you build around it with tokens, or if you're like ahead on like card advantage already. Like if you have like a bunch of permanents to play, you're not doing anything with, you can sack. I do feel like it's kind of intentional they made it so that there's no blue enchantment removal that sticks around in play, and there's also like the white enchantment removal doesn't actually, like, it exiles a creature, so it doesn't stay in play, you know, because like if it stayed in play, then, you know, it's like with pacifism, usually like pacifism gets worse if there's like sack effects, but there isn't here because this is, you know, like this stuff is just, you know, what I was like going off on my tangent about, I was going off on some kind of tangent about like edicts and pacifism, but anyways. Over the black Pyrexian Horde, Defiler Flesh, 2 generic, 2 black mana, creature Pyrexian Horde Menace. As an additional, it has like the Pyrexian life cost thing for black permanents. And then, whenever you cast a black permanent spell, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains menace until end of turn. So, this one is cheaper than the other Pyrexians because it's 4 mana instead of 5, but it doesn't give you like a permanent buff or whatever. It just like enables attacks. And honestly, enabling attacks can be really good too, right? Hey, thank you very much for the raid! Hair Boohoo, hope you're saying well. Shake my foxy, fuck shake. Okay. Hope you're saying well. Crystal Project. Oh, that sounds cool. And I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's like a... It might be like a MMO or something. Hey, thanks for the follow, Ashen Punk. I appreciate it. Shake my foxy. We're just talking about magic cards for the new set, because people wanted to have a discussion about magic. Oh, Voxel JRPG, nice. The Fox has permanently scrambled brains. Yeah, I'm doing all right. We're just talking about magic cards because there's a new expansion coming out in 4 days. Yeah. So, like, you just need to go to sleep 4 more times, and you get to play the new pre-release. Or not the new pre-release, you get to play the new cards, and then if you go to sleep 5 times, you can play on the pre-release on Friday if you want. You don't have to, but you can do if you want to, but... Anyway, so yeah, this is probably weaker because it's not, like, giving you a permanent effect, but if you're very aggressive... This could be a big deal, right? Giving +1/+1 and menace to another creature. And this is also just a menacer itself, 4/4 menace. Like a 4/4 menace is like very good stats for like 4 mana. So it's probably better in this color because I think like white and blue. Oh yeah, depending on time zone, right? But like white and blue are like more interested in like instants and sorceries, and I guess red also. Whereas like, well, I guess red and blue are the most interested in instant sorceries, but like it does feel like there's some white cards that trigger when you play a instant or sorcery. I mean, there's a lot of instant and sorcery trigger type cards in general, but like it might be easier to get like black permanent spells and like Defiler Flesh colors. That's another thing to like consider. Like that's why maybe the effect is a little bit less good. No, we're on the 3rd color right now. We've been going kind of fast, but not super fast. This is the 3rd color. Drag at the bottom. But yeah, you'll definitely play this. And I think it's very good. You'll definitely play Defiler Flesh. And I don't think you necessarily need to, like... You don't need to, like, change your deck at all to play any of these, but, like, it does encourage you to play permanent spells. Something to be aware of. Alright, drag at the bottom. 2 generic, 2 black, sorcery, domain. Each creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. So, Yeah, it's kind of like a twist on, this is like a twist on Mutilate. Whereas like Mutilate is like count swamps you control. This is actually like number of basic land types among lands you control. I guess actually a better comparison would be like Languish. So like in a 2-color deck, drag to the bottom is -3/-3 to all creatures. And it is kind of cool, like, you could technically scale this in such a way that it kills your opponent's creatures but not yours, based on like your land plays. It'll probably be -3/-3 a lot of the times, but like, you know, the maximum is like it could be a -6/-6 for like 4, which is kind of insane. But like I was like talking about how many there's actually like a lot of ways to like search up a basic land if you count creatures in this set, because there's like creatures that have like kicker tutor up a basic land, so like that can make like domain easier. And also another thing that make domain easier is the common duels that have land types. Common duels of land types help there also. So yeah, so that's gonna be decent-ish. Like even a -3/-3 is gonna be really good because this format is like just full of like X3s. I think we figured that or determined that. I mean, you can like just double check here. Toughness to less than the 3. Yeah, there's like 110 cards. Like, this is also counting XX creatures, which aren't necessarily like that, but like the majority of the set feels like it's just gonna die like a -3/-3. Just like look at toughness over 4. It's like 49. This is not including the XX cards. And like a fair number of these are actually like mythics too, rares. It's not like it's super common to find like a 5/5. This is definitely gonna be a good effect. I mean, it's a board wipe you can play around. Yeah, 3 damage kills most things. That's why like Lightning Strike is very good and Destroy Evil is not as good. But there's probably some decks where you will main deck Destroy Evil because you don't have any other removal, like in case people don't know what Destroy Evil is. This is basically the Sun Gold Barrage variant in this format. It's not exactly like Repel the Vial. Repel the Vial costs 4. But it also Repel the Vial keyed off power, and this keys off of toughness, the Destroy Evil, right? It's like yeah, it's kind of like Valorous Stance. It doesn't have Indestructible on it. It just has Destroy an enchantment instead. So yeah, this will be good. Like I think like the thing with board wipes is I think they tend to be better in like I don't know, they tend to be better in like sealed in my opinion, because like people will like play into them more, and then you know you don't necessarily get like run over before you can play your board wipe. And like I was mentioning before, like based on the lands you play, you can sometimes like scale this in such a way that it kills all your opponent's stuff and not yours. Right, so this will probably be better and best in like green black, or like just a black deck that has high toughness. It'll be best there. Because you can get you can get like there's definitely some things you'll get like in like even like with all the token makers, there's certainly going to be some things that like die even to like a -2/-2, like worst case scenario. But like -3/-2 is going to be really good at sweeping up most of the stuff in the format. So, alright, Evolve Sleeper, Creature Human, 1 black. So black activated ability. Evolve Sleeper becomes a human cleric with base power toughness 2/2. 1 generic black. If Evolve Sleeper is a cleric, put a death touch counter on it and it becomes a Pyrexian human cleric with base power toughness 3/3. 1 generic. 2 black. If Evolve Sleeper is a Pyrexian, put a +1/+1 counter, and then you draw a card and lose a life. So, like, you put 2 mana and 2 black in this, is a 2/2. You put 3 black and 1 into it, it's a 3/3 with Death Touch. And if you put 7 mana into this, it's a 4/4 that draws you a card and you lose a life. I mean, like, obviously you're paying it over, like, multiple turns, and you can do it at instant speed, which is pretty great. Yeah, this is, like, the 1-drop you're going to... like, I was looking yesterday at, like, 1-drops, and, like, the 1-drops seem kind of bad, in my opinion, even though, like, I guess a couple of the 1-drops had kicker on them, so, like, that sort of offsets, like, the low stats on them. But, like, the green 1-drop looked really, really bad to me for whatever reason. And, like, the white 1-drop was also not good, because, like, the white 1-drop was, like, a 0/3 wall. Was not, like, thrilled about it. But, like, at least, like, the red and the green, the red and the blue, like, 1-drops had, like, kicker on them. And then there was, like, a 1/1 flyer and black or whatever. That card just didn't look good to me. 1/1, it's like a 1/1 flyer that you can pay black to give it death touch until in a turn. It just doesn't look good to me. But yeah, there's gonna be a good mana sink. Like, it, like, forces your opponent to deal with it, right? Otherwise you are just gonna keep making this big and drawing cards off of it. Right? And it has, like, instant speeds. There may be, like, some situations where you want to turn it back to a 3/3, but it's probably not going to come up in, it's probably not going to come up that often in, like, drafts where you actually want to reduce the base power and toughness, because, like, Evolve Sleeper would have counters on it, so, like, trying to shrink it to play around, like, Destroy Evil is going to be kind of hard. That case, unless you want to just shrink it down from, like, a 3/3 with a counter on it to a 2/2. That's just, like, a really fringe case, I guess, turning it back down to, like, a base 2/2, but it might come up at some point. It might come up. So yeah, that's gonna be a really good card. You'll play it. You know, same caveat, sometimes you don't have time to, like, invest a lot of mana into it. Hey there, Key4, how's it going? Congrats on getting the finals at RCQ yesterday. So, like, we're looking at, like, Warden of the first tree as, like, a comparison. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, Warden of the first tree was, like, but it also had, like, an off-color activation on this. And you had to spend... you basically were spending, like, 7 mana to make this into a 3/3 trample lifelink before, like, the fun stuff happens. Doing laundry. Oh, that's cool. Hope the laundry is going well. Yeah, so that's gonna be a good card. You'll play it. Alright, Liliana the Veil, most hyped up reprint of the set. 1 generic, 2 black. Legendary Planeswalker Liliana, +1, each player discards a card, -2, target player sacrifice a creature, -6. Separate all permanents, target player controlled in 2 piles, that player sacrifices all permanent in the pile of their choice. Yeah, I mean, this is good. It's, the -2 might not be that good in, like, limited, like, because of all the tokens flying around, but... Like, if your opponent plays, like, a 5/5, and that's their only creature, and you play Liliana the Veil, and you -2, you feel pretty smart there. And then, you know, ideally, you have it set up in such a way that, like, if you play Liliana the Veil on turn 3, like, you have it set up that, like, maybe you are going to, like, use up cards in your hand faster than your opponents, and then sometimes, like, discarding cards not even that bad because you have, like, a recursion spell to get it back. So, yeah, this is going to be a good card to play. It's not like insta win the game, but if you play it on turn 3, it's going to force your opponent to, like, play differently. And, you know, even late game, like, it could be a big deal. Like, even if, like, both people are, like, empty-handed, like, just edicting them could be a big deal. If it's, like, a board stall, it basically forces them to, like, go through a lot of effort to get rid of it because they don't want you to ultimate on them. So, it's gonna be very good. You'll be pretty happy to get it. It's also, like, a decent amount of money, too, still. So, yeah. Decent amount of money. Alright, Shadow Rite Priest, another tribal lord, 1 generic, 1 black, creature, human, cleric. Other clerics you control get +1/+1, and then 3 generic, 2 black, tap, sacrifice another cleric. Search your library for a black creature card, put it on the battlefield and shuffle. So, I think we had, like, looked at clerics in the set, and there was, like, 3 common clerics. So, and there's, like, no way to make, like, a token cleric either. So, this card doesn't seem like it's going to do very much. So, like, it's mostly going to be, like, a bear, I think. Right? Like, unless you have, like, a really insane, if you have, like, a really insane, black creature, do you want to get, like, a Shouldered, or a Defiler Flesh, or a Pit Lord? It's not going to be great. It's just a constructed plant, yeah. Yeah, there's enough clerics, I think, in, constructed, because of, like, all the angels clerics we were wondering about that lord. Yeah, I think the Soldier Lord is fine because it buffs tokens. Right? It buffs tokens. Like, if it didn't buff tokens, then it would, you know, not matter. Wait, how do I just delete this? I don't know how Can we just say 0? Does it? I just refresh it. Okay, so, like, yeah. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I mean, there's 3 common ones, but you also have to count all the things that make a soldier. So, like, text, soldier, creature, token. Maybe that works. Or might have made that worse. No, okay, yeah, so yeah. There's like 12. Well, this is a soldier that makes a soldier, and this is a soldier that makes a soldier, so it didn't really add that much more. And this is a soldier that makes a soldier, but you can see, like, there's these sorceries and instants that make a soldier. So I think that Soldier Lord could be really good if you are playing, like, these cards that make soldier tokens. So. Yeah, this is just not good in draft. It's just like, it's just about 2/2/2/2. You'd have to need to have, like, a bunch of the common clerics, which again there's only like 3 of them, and then you need to have a good, like, a really bomby black creature card to get. This is gonna be annoying in limited and constructed. Why is it annoying in limited and constructed? Oh, the Soldier Lord. Oh, yeah. And that's gonna be pretty good in the Soldier base decks. Alright, Shieldred, the Apocalypse. 2 generic, 2 generic, 2 black. Legendary creature, Pyrexian, Praetor. Death Touch, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever your opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. It's a 4/5. Like, a 4/5 is, like, huge. It doesn't even die to, like, the red deal 4 damage uncommon. There's like a red deal 5 or something like that for 5 mana at sorcery speed, which is just like so you're trading down. So like a lot of removal spells are gonna trade down with this. There's a black, I guess there's a Extinguish the Light, 4 mana to deal with it, but they paid 4 mana. And they probably pinged you for like 2 life before you did it, before you killed this. So this is definitely going to be very strong. It's gonna warp the game. Yeah, two burn spells. It's just gonna warp the game around it. Because you can't really it's just a huge thing that you can't really attack through very easily on the ground unless you're playing like a large green creature deck, and then if you aren't, like, it's just gonna sit there and like drain you. It's just gonna sit there and drain you, and then if you combo with like more card draw spells, then like it makes it harder for your opponent to kill you, because like if you start like playing like your card draws and stuff and then gaining more life, it's just really hard to like race this card, and it will warp the game around this. So I mean, definitely play it if you have it. I mean, alright, Stronghold Arena, one generic, one black enchantment, kicker, green or white. When Stronghold enters the battlefield, you may gain 3 life for each time they kick. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. So it's like a twist on like Pyrexian Arena, but it's like worse because you actually need to deal combat damage to your opponent. And once you choose to reveal the top card of your library, it is not like you must lose the life. So if you're like behind, this card actually doesn't do very much, because it's gonna be like 4 mana gain 6 life or something if you're like behind and you happen to be in like all 3 colors. It's like a build around card. Like, you need to have a lot of life in order to keep using it, and then you also need to be able to be dealing damage to your opponent. And I mean, it's just like a really weird, like variant of Pyrexian Arena. I don't think this is gonna be like a card you throw into like every deck. I definitely think it's better if you can play the kicker, because you're probably gonna need to have the life if you want to draw more than like 2 cards off this. So, yeah, it just seems like a really, really convoluted way of, like, card advantage, but there might be, like, some deck that wants it, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't try it, personally, unless like, you're really, really confident in, like, your ability to get in damage and also keep your life total high. Because you're, like, getting in damage, too, you might not necessarily have blockers to, like, keep your life total high. So that makes it harder to, like, draw cards off of it. Alright. Cruelty of Gixx. 3 generic, 2 black, enchantment saga with read ahead. 1. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a creature or planeswalker card from it. That player discards that card. 2. Search your library for a card. Put that card in your hand and shuffle. You lose 3 life. And 3. Put target creature card from a graveyard on the battlefield under control. It seems like a really good saga, right? It's like similar. It has like similar vibes to like Eldest Reborn. It's kind of got like similar vibes to Eldest Reborn, except like you look in their hand instead of making them sack a creature or making them like, right? Like Eldest Reborn made them sack a creature or planeswalker, and then there's like a tutor effect that like if you have like 3 life to spare, it's kind of a big deal. Like, I mean, you probably want to spend 5 mana on like a tutor that makes you 3 life. Like Diabolic Tutor was not playable, but the fact that this gives you like a ton of options. It's just like, it's a lot of potential value. It's like a 3 for 1 on like 1 enchantment, so it's going to be pretty backbreaking when you play it and you actually get like some something like something reasonable from like 1, 2, and 3. It's gonna be backbreaking, but again, you're probably gonna want to be ahead because of like the life loss part. Or you could just skip it. Like you just make this a 5 mana reanimate, but that seems bad. So this is gonna be very good. I'd say it's like it's like on the Eldest Reborn level. You're gonna be happy to play it. You know, sometimes it's just like complete backbreaking when you play it. You just like win the game on the spot. But, yeah, seems a good card. Alright, the Raven Man. 1 generic, 1 black, legendary creature, human wizard. At the beginning of each end step, if the player discards a card this turn, create a 1/1 black bird creature token with flying, and this creature can't block. And then 3 generic, 1 black, each opponent discards a card, activate only the sorcery. So the reason they word those things as like activate only as a sorcery is because they don't want you to be able to use those types of effects on your opponent's draw step, because it's really annoying to like draw step, you know, make you discard your card or whatever. So like that's why they make it a sorcery. But yeah, I mean, this is gonna be good. It's like it's gonna be good in the decks where like I guess like this sort of force. It's like if anyone remembers like Rakdos Cult Mage or whatever that thing. It was like Rakdos Cult Mage. Maybe no, that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of like the one from like I guess Ravnica Allegiance. Maybe I just don't know what that was. I think it was like, oh, Cult Guild Mage, yeah. Just kind of sits there, annoys them. I mean, you making them discard a card and making a 1/1 thing. It also works if you're discarding cards too, right? So if you have like self abilities to discard, then you know, you're making a 1/1. I mean, they don't block, but maybe you don't necessarily care that much about your 1/1 flyer not blocking. So yeah, it was like Cult Guild Mage, but it like makes 1/1s though. Notably works with other discard outlets. Yeah, because it just says it whenever a player discards a card. So, and also, you might get people, like, when they discard something for, like, a beneficial effect. And then you're like, okay, make a bird token. So, you know. I mean, it's probably, it's playable with, like, out any other, like, discard ways to like trigger a discard of your own or a player discard, but it obviously gets better if you have ways of like triggering a discard. And there's like some sack outlets too, so like even if like the 1/1 bird creature tokens can't attack, like just having like extra 1/1s that you can like sacrifice is like reasonable. Just like sack them. So yeah, there's a card to go play, and it gets better if you have like the discard stuff. We could like look at how many ways there are to discard in this set. Yeah. There's actually a lot of random ways to like discard a card. Yeah, the soldier you're talking about. Yeah, this card, that card. Yeah, this looks really good. Oh man, imagine Raven Man with Vohar. Okay, there's a combo. You're discarding and making 1/1s off of it. Okay. Yeah, that card seems kind of insane with Vohar. But yeah, so you'll play it. And obviously the build around this is going to be really, really good. Tyrannical Pit Lords. 4 generic, 2 black, creature demon, flying trample. As Tyrannical Pit Lord enters the battlefield, choose another creature you control. The chosen creature gets +3/+3 and has flying. So it's like Demonic Embrace or whatever on the other creature. And then when Tyrannical Pit Lord leaves the battlefield, sacrifice the chosen creature. So, if you have another creature, it is mandatory to target it. So, like, this could potentially be an issue, like, if your opponent had, like, a removal that kills the 6/6, and then it also makes you sack the chosen creature, but, I mean, it is still really good just because it's a 6/6 flying trample that for 6 that also, like, gives flying and +2/+2 to another thing, so if you're buffing, like, a 1/1 soldier token, you probably don't even care when they kill the Tyrannical Pit Lord or make the Tyrannical Pit Lord bounce it away or something. Like it would work like if they bounce it away or something, and then yeah, you'd have to sack the token, but then you don't really care as much about sacking the token. But I know it's like a really powerful effect. Like it's functionally like a 9/9 or like getting whatever 9/9 of stats for like 6 mana, but and also giving flying is a big deal. Like +2/+3 and flying permanently is a huge deal. So it is pretty balmy. Like you just have to be aware. Like there are situations where you could get like blown out by the Pit Lord getting bounced or killed in middle combat. But yeah, all right. Now we're on to red. Now this is the 4th color. So let's see. Chaotic Transformation. 5 color or 5 generic, 1 red sorcery. Exile up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target enchantment, up to 1 target planeswalker, up to 1 target land. For each permanent exiled this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of the library until they reveal a card that shares a card type with it, puts that card on the battlefield and shuffles. I'm just gonna say don't play this in your limited deck. Cause, yeah, this is a constructed combo card, the, like, combo with, your Titan and Industry or whatever. Or Torrential Gear Hulk. Don't try to play this in draft, it won't work. Stay away. Defiler Instinct. 2 generic, 2 red, creature Pyrexian Kavu. I think one of the complaints people had about this format is like there's only like there's just not that many Kavu or something to that effect. So like how can you call it a Dominaria set when there's like not many Kavu or whatever in it? It's like it just doesn't make sense, but yeah, there's like 2 Kavu in the set. That's why people are mad. But anyways, first strike, 4/4 first strike is a really good stat. For 4. And then it has the Pyrexian mana thing for red permanents. And then whenever you cast a red permanent spell, Defiler of Instinct deals 1 damage to any target. So yeah, there's a bunch of 1/1 tokens flying around, and if you actually cast like 2 red permanents in 1 turn, you can potentially kill like an X2, and like the Pyrexian life on this thing might mean that it makes it more possible that you get to like double red permanent in 1 turn to kill an X2. So let's just like look at creatures with 1 toughness exactly equal to 1. Yeah. There's like 25 creatures in this set that have like 1 toughness, so you can like pick them off with just like a single red permanent spell. Like, I mean, some of these have kicker or whatever, they might not necessarily be able to kill it, but, you know, if you can, that's going to be a big deal. yeah, that's very good. That Kavu. Alright, Jaya, Firing Negotiator, 2 generic, 2 red, Legendary Planeswalker Jaya. +1, create a 1/1 red monk creature token with prowess. There's another 1/1. -1, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them, you may play that card this turn. -2, choose target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you attack this turn, Jaya, Firing Negotiator, deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures of that creature. And then -8, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. Loyalty 4. So this gives me a lot of vibes of playing like Chandra Torch of Defiance. It's not obviously the same. Like creating tokens is good with like the go wide strategies in the format. You know, -1 exile and cards your library is good because, you know, maybe you need like some more action. And, you know, the -2 synergizes with a +1 because it gives you more creatures to attack with. And then like there might be some situations where you know, yeah, like you just need to make more creatures to make the -2 into like a removal spell. And then the -8, so the -8 would take you 5 turns because you'd have to like uptick 4 turns and then use the -8. And then it says, get an emblem whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for copies. So that's probably going to only really happen in Constructed when you do that, but it's probably going to tell you a really good story. So yeah, you'll play it. There might be like some situations where you play it and then it's like it's hard to defend it. Like, but I mean that comes with like other planeswalkers, right? Yeah, there's definitely some good red instants and, you know, good red sorceries to like copy, but you don't really rate like planeswalkers based off of ultimates anyways, because it's so hard to like pull that off usually. So yeah, it's good. It doesn't look necessarily as good as like Torch of Defiance would look, but yeah, they're good at descending themselves. Yeah, it just makes like 1/1s. It's true. It's like at least putting bodies on the board. That's fair. Yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be a good / very good card to play it. I mean, it's much better than the original Jaya, right? It might have just been like, I don't remember the exact name of it, I guess. Spoiler. So I was like looking at the cards and stuff. Yeah, this one was kind of like you didn't actually want to play Unlimited. You wanted to avoid it. Because it didn't defend itself. It was like a planeswalker that didn't defend itself. Caliph Flame Sage, 2 generic, 1 red, creature, human, shaman, and list. Whenever Keldon Flame Sage attacks, look at the top X card of your library, where X is Keldon Flame Sage's power. You may exile an instant or sorcery with mana value X or less among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exile card while paying its mana cost. Okay, so that looks really good in like Constructed. But it's like a really good, you know, it's also a decent enlist payoff. Like, you need to be playing enough instants and sorceries. Yeah, if you all the planeswalker limit, you probably win because then your opponent can interact with a 5-turn, yes. Yeah. So, you need to have, like, ways of pumping. I mean, enlist pumps the Keldon Flame Sage's attack or whatever. So, like, if you pump it to, like, a 4/3 or a 5/3, and you get to, like, cast like a 4-drop instant or sorcery out of it, and it's pretty breaking. It's pretty game breaking. But, like, I think you'd have to, like, look at the number of instants and sorceries you have in your deck to, like, say what is this super, super good or not. There's probably going to be some, like, RNG where, like, you attack with this, even as, like, a 5-3, and you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you don't hit anything, and then it dies to, like, a 3-1, and it's really bad, but... Like, so I would just say, like, this is good, and then it's, like, great if you, I guess, have appropriately, you have, like, built around it, like, a lot of instants and sorceries. And, you know, ways of protecting it, too. In combat. Because, like, you just assume something like this, as soon as it attacks, is gonna die. Anyways, Radha's Firebrand, 1 generic, 1 red, creature human warrior. Whenever Radha's Firebrand attacks, target creature defending player controls with power less than Radha's Firebrand's power can't block this turn. And then Domain, 5 generic, 1 red, Radha's Firebrand gets +2/+2 until end of turn. This ability costs 1 generic less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. Activate only once each turn. So... Ooh, this is kind of interesting, because, like, it's like we were talking about, like, 2 mana creature pump variants or something like Quilled Wolf and stuff yesterday. But, obviously, so this is, like, in a 2-color deck, this is, like, 4 mana, get +2/+2 until end of turn. You can only activate it once. You kind of want to make it count, but, like, if you're in, like, a... So this is basically like a 5-3 beater for a turn that you cost 4 mana to activate in a 2-color deck, and it makes it so that, like, a creature with power less than its power can't block. So, like, there's going to be, like, some decision points where you're actually going to want to pump this pre-combat to make your opponent's, like, 4 power guy not block or whatever. So this definitely looks, like, very efficient. It's probably better in, like, constructed, but you'll still play it, you know, even in your limited deck. It's going to be good. It's going to be a very efficient 2-drop. It won't win the game by itself, but it'll put a lot of pressure on them. And, like, again, you still have, like, I guess the threat of activation on it. You have threat of activation on it. Like, if you just attack into, like, your opponent is, like, 2-2. I mean, they obviously know that you have the ability to activate it, but, you know, then it becomes, like, a game... It's like a game. Do you activate, and then do they have the removal spell in response? Who knows? But yeah, it's a mana sink. It's a domain payoff. You'd be happy playing it. Alright, Ragefire Hellkite, 4 generic, 2 blue, creature dragon, flying. Whenever Ragefire Hellkite attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, Ragefire Hellkite gains double strike until end turn. So, like, a 5-3 for 6 is really scary to me because it dies to, like, Lightning Strike. But it also does, like, a crap load of damage. Like, it's like dealing 10 damage in the air will end the game very quickly. So this is going to be very good when you're ahead, and it's going to be kind of bad when you're behind, because you don't really want to block with, like, your 5-3 flyer. So I would say this is going to be very, like, deck dependent, I guess, but, like, you'll still play it, and then you'll be happy with it. It's just, you have to be aware that it's, like, one of those cards that's, like, bad on the defense. And, I mean, even on the offense, you're going to want to have sack fodder, but, like, I think, like, between all the 1/1 tokens flying around, you'll have, like, enough sacrifice fodder for this. That's my thought process there. Alright, Rundavel Horde Master. Another tribal lord, 1 generic, 1 red, creature goblin warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Whenever Rundavel Horde Master, another goblin control, you die. The goblin you control died, exile top card of your library. If it's a goblin creature card, you may cast that card until the end of your next turn. So let's, like, look at number of goblins in the set. I feel like that's going to be more of a constructed plant, but types goblin. Yeah, there's like 2 goblins at common, so and then like there's a couple uncommon goblins, a couple rare goblins. This is also rare, so like this is probably not gonna do that much in like this is probably not gonna do much in your sealed or draft deck, so you probably want to avoid it. But it's gonna be great in your Pioneer Goblin deck or Standard Goblin deck. Alright, Shivan Devastator. We've come a long way. Or like, Creature Dragon Hydra, Flying Haste. All the tokens in the set seem to be soldiers, right? I mean, you could like look. Oh, I guess this Warren's Chief makes it. I guess Squee and Rulik Mons make goblin tokens for the purpose of buffing. I was just saying, like, for the purposes of like getting card off the top of your library or casting a card off the top of your library, it doesn't seem like it's going to do a lot. That's what I meant. Yeah, there's like 2 ways to make a goblin creature token. And anyway, Shivan Devastator, so it's Flying Haste, and there's a battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So, I mean, they usually have like a 5 mana 4/4 Flying Haste creature in each set at Mythic, and this is basically that version of the card. I'm searching on rares and mythics, and I ordered by color. I just ordered by color. So this is just going to be very efficient. 5 mana 4/4 flyer, 4 mana 3/3 flyer, 6 mana 5/5 flyer, all with haste. Like you probably want to play it at like 5 usually, just to avoid lightning strikes. But again, like against different opponents, like if they're not playing red, you might be okay just playing it on like 4. Like it's super flexible. It's kind of like boring for like a mythic because it's just like, oh, it's just like, you know, Mega Ivy Elemental, right? You just kind of move. We just got like Mega Ivy Elemental, right? I could definitely see like a meme about that, like Ivy Elemental versus, you know, versus Shivan Devastator. But yeah, we've come a long way since this. This used to be a rare. Anyways, yeah, there's a bomb. You'll play it. You're gonna be very happy about it. You can even splash it too because it's single red. Alright, Squee Dubious Monarch. 2 generic, 1 green. Sorry, one red. 2 generic, 1 red. Legendary creature, Goblin Noble. Haste. Whenever Squee Dubious Monarch attacks, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. You may cast Squee Dubious Monarch from your graveyard by paying 3 generic, 1 red, and exiling 4 other cards from your graveyard rather than paying its mana cost. So, I've heard people say this is similar to where's my tier list? Ew, god. I don't know. I mean, like I don't know. Like I did like a tier list for like Strixhaven, and it took a really long time. But anyways, Squee Dubious Monarch. Yeah, this is gonna be really good. It makes it's like similar to like people have compared it to like you know, Goblin Rabblemaster or you know, Legion Warboss or even like Den of the Bugbear. It even has like Escape. So some of like your self-mill stuff is going to be better because you can, you know, you can cast it from the graveyard or whatever to, you know, play it again. It's like it's probably going to be much more playable than like Squee the Immortal, and you know, it's going to be good. It'll run away with the game if you're like clearing the board. You know, I mean, like attacking with us on turn 3 and making a single goblin token is actually just quite good, and then if you actually get more than one attack with this, I could see it snowballing. And then there's also like team pumps and sack effects for the goblin tokens too. Yeah. This is gonna be a good card. There might be some board states where 2/2 can't attack, but you know, hopefully you have ways of resolving that. Right, Temporal Firestorm, 3 generic, 2 red, sorcery, kicker, 1 generic, 1 white, and or 1 generic, 1 blue. Choose of the X creatures and or planeswalker you control, where X is the number of time the spell was kicked, those permanents phase out, and then Temporal Firestorm deals 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. So, like, a 5 mana deal 5 to all creatures and each planeswalker basically means, like, everything's dead. Right? There's not that many things that they're gonna survive, like, 5 damage in that set. Let me, like, look again. Stats. So yeah, like the bulk of the creature in this set just die to Temporal Firestorm, and yeah, you'll play like a 5 mana board wipe. It is a little like the difference between 5 and 4 mana is kind of a big deal. Like you can end up like dying because you needed 5 mana to play this, whereas like with a 4 mana board wipe, you might have been able to cast it, and you know it's just easier to like sandbag creatures when you have a 4 mana board wipe. That's why I thought like those 6 mana board wipes they've had in like older sets are just like unplayable because like you just like fall way too far behind before you can deploy it. But like 5 mana is just like on the line of like where yes you could play it without like setting it up, and then you know if you're playing white or blue, getting to save one of your best creatures is going to be good, but I don't think you necessarily need to be white or blue to play. It's also a lot of mana. Like, if you want to save 2 things, you're going to have to pay 9 mana to do this. To save 2 things. So I would just treat it mostly as like a 5 mana deal 5. Unless like this format is insanely slow, but yeah, I would say this is good. I don't know, so the thing the issue I have with like tier lists is like I think rating stuff on like a scale like 1 to 5 is like really tricky because like there's always going to be that person that's like, oh, there's you did this, you know, you thought this like a 1, but it was actually like a 5 for me or something crazy because it's like, oh, I did something really cool with it. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's like one. It's like really, it's really like context dependent. Like sometimes you can take a card that's like kind of bad and make it really good sometimes, but it's not always gonna work out like that. All right, Elder Dragon War, 2 generic, 2 red. Enchantment Saga, read ahead. The Elder Dragon War deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent, and then discard any number of cards, and then draw that many cards, and then create a 4/4 red dragon creature token flying. Again, we had mentioned that a lot of the creatures are small, and there's like 1/1 tokens, so like dealing 2 damage to each creature can be a big deal. You can also skip past that part if it's bad for you. And then it's like, discard any number of cards and draw that many cards, and the 4/4 red dragon creature token flying. So yeah, this is gonna be good. Like, you would play this just as like 4 mana step 3. But like late game, if you have like excess lands, like a 4 mana draw 4, discard 2 land, draw 2 cards is pretty insane. But obviously there's going to be like some tricky parts where maybe you need the 4/4 right away to block and then you don't get any of these other parts. That definitely feels like a really interesting decision point. But yeah, I would say this is like very, very good, if not like bomb level there. It's 4/4 flyer for 4 with like value attached. A Briar Hydra, 5 generic, or we're up to green now. Red went by really fast for some reason. Maybe I'm just like talking really fast doing the red stuff, but like green. This is the final color. And then artifacts. So Briar Hydra, creature playing Hydra, trample, domain. Whenever Briar Hydra deals combat damage to a player, put X +1/+1 counter on the target creature you control, where X is the number of basic land types among the lands you control. So, yeah, 6/6 trample for 6 is basically a Colossal Dreadmaw. And then you attack, and then like you can buff any creature, right? And then, so, like, putting 2 +1/+1 counter on a creature, that's, like, whatever. But, like, if you... I mean, that's still good. But then if you... Obviously, you're putting, like, 3 or 4 counters. It's kind of insane. So this could snowball really fast. But it's also a 6-drop. I mean, a trample means they can't chump it. Yeah, it needs a hit phase. It has trample, so they can't chump it. But, yeah, like, at that point in the game, they might, like, at 6, they could easily have, like, things that trade with it, right? But I guess the thing is, I guess the plus side is that if your opponent's, like, blocking in such a way that, like, trades with it, but they don't soak up all the trample damage, you can still put counters on something else. You know, it definitely feels like more win more. Like, I can imagine some scenarios where this could be the only creature you have in play, and then it gets in once, and it became a 9 or a 10/10 or something like that, and then your opponent just, like, never draws a removal and just gets bigger again, or makes something else bigger, and then, like, it snowballs out of control. But, I mean, it's got the same caveat. It's like a 6-drop. It doesn't have an ETB ability, or whatever. You could easily die before it does anything. But... so I'm gonna say it's good, but it's probably not necessarily bomb level unless you have, like, a lot of removal and stuff. Alright, Defiler Vigor, 3 generic, 2 green, creature Pyrexian worm trample. It has the Pyrexian mana thing for green permanents, and then whenever you cast a green permanent spell, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Now that's kinda insane if you have, like, you know, a reasonable board. And also, it also pumps itself too, right? So this actually seems like it could be the... It seems really strong. Like, it's probably, like, similar... I feel like it's gonna be, like, people are gonna be fighting over this one and, like, the blue one. But yeah, this could get out of control really fast if you have multiple creatures in play. So, I would say this is a bomb. Alright, Herd Migration, 6 generic, 1 green, sorcery, domain. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token for each basic land type among lands you control. So this is gonna be like... in your 2-color deck, it's 7 mana, make 2 3/3s. That's not good. But in your 3-color deck, it's like, make 3 3/3s. I think we were talking about it yesterday. Like, there may be, like, some domain decks that are actually okay with, you know, playing a double off-color dual land just for, like, 2 additional land types. Like, they're okay with playing a tapped colorless source because they want to get more land types for their domain payoffs, right? But, and then discard Herd, like, one generic, 1 green, discard Herd Migration. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, and then shuffle. You gain 3 life. I think the reason this says discard instead of cast it is, well, I guess it's because, like, it'd probably just be, like, too weird to make it, like, a modal card like that, and just having, like, a discard on it, just, like, it's easy to say, like, it can do two different things. Like, obviously, like, 3 mana... Sorry, not 3 mana, but 2 mana for, like, Ley of the Line is not... Or Ley of the Land is not, like, great. I mean, it gains you life, which might be, like, relevant. But, I mean, this is, like, your domain payoff, and it's also, like, a domain enabler. Because it's also... Yeah, you can only get basic land card. It can't get a land with basic land type, which is kind of relevant. Yeah, they might have lands with land types they aren't using just for the domain, I agree. So yeah, this is just like, this seems kind of medium. Like, you'll play it in your domain deck, but you're not going to play it in your average green deck unless you really want 2 mana lay a land. It's not good. Alright, Leaf Crown Visionary, GG. Creature, Elf, Druid. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay 1 green. If you do, draw a card. So let's see. Again, let's look at types. No, not commander. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 4 common elves. So there's actually a fair number of elves. It's like some of them are like rares, but there's like some like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uncommons and like some rares, like, you know, a couple rares. 3 rares, yeah. So this seems better than like the other tribal things. I mean, I guess the soldier guy counts as a soldier token. So, like, again, this is not something you play without elves, and I don't think there's any elf tokens. But this is probably something you actually just want to play more in Constructed. But I bet you there's going to be somebody that found like the 7 elf spell deck, and then they play it. Good thing Tyvar is rotating out, yeah. That's definitely gonna be good in Constructed, just maybe not so much in like drafts. Alright, Llanowar Green Widow. So there's a 2 generic 1 green creature spider, reach trample, domain 7 generic 1 green, return Llanowar Green Widow from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. It gains, if this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile itself. This ability costs 1 generic less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. So it's like a 4/3 that, if you're only playing 2 color, 4/3 reach trample for 3, which is actually very good stats. And then it has the ability to like recure itself once based on your domain. So like in a 2 color deck, it's like 6 mana to get the 4/3 trample back again. And this is going to cause some memory issues on paper because you're going to have to remember. Yeah, the max you could bring it back for 1G, which is pretty insane. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's going to be very, very good. You know, even in your 2 color deck, you're still going to play it. Or 2G, yeah. Alright, yeah, 2G, yeah. So it's like, I mean, that's still pretty insane, right? It's like basically like 2 4/3s for 3. I mean, you have to have one of them die first, but you're just getting it back, and then it does not work with bounce because if you bounce it back from like if it leaves the battlefield at all, it's gone. So you can only get it back once. There's no like shenanigans with like replaying it again somehow, but after it's been played once. But yeah, this is gonna be very good. You'll play it. You're gonna be happy with it. People probably, it's gonna be a groan tester. Be like, oh god, I had to play against that stupid thing twice. Llanowar Loam Speaker, 1 generic, 1 green creature, elf druid. Add 1 mana of any color. And then tap target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. Still land, activate only a sorcery. This has a combo with Tatiova, because it gives land creatures you control flying. It's also just like a 1/3 that generates any mana of color. You'll play it. I mean, I think this is gonna be good. It's like it's gonna be good because it gives you something to do like late game. Like you turn like your excess lands into like creatures. You know, you can't block with them because it only activates the sorcery. Which is actually like a pretty important distinction to make, that you can only activate a sorcery, but you'll definitely play this and it's gonna be good. Like I do like that a lot of these cards, I mean, are just look good as like you can play it early and you can also play it like late game and it's gonna be good like in both cases. Like, you know, like you'll play like these 2-mana 2/1s early, and then you'll like late game you'll play like your kicker card with like, you know, 7 mana kicked into it. It's gonna be really good there. So yeah, this is good, and it's definitely gonna be good. Like good early game, good late game. Alright, Crayon Beastcaller, 1 generic, 1 green, creature Dryad Warrior. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Crayon Beastcaller. When Crayon Beastcaller dies, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Crayon Beastcaller. It's a 2/2. So yeah, you want to play this early, and then it's going to likely draw like the first removal spell that your opponent has, because they don't want you to make this big, and then also like throw counters on the other stuff. It also works with like counters that you can get from like other spells, because there's like spells and, you know, creatures that can put a +1/+1 counter on something on the other creature you control. So you could like throw counters on the Beastcaller from one of the other guys. It's a really good card. Yeah, you can get out of this, can get out of control. Like if you play Beastcaller into 2 more creatures, you've got a 4/4 that dies and puts 2 1/1 counters on something else after it dies. So this is very, very good, and you know, it's going to like force your opponents to deal with it right away. Otherwise, it just gets out of control. Oh my god, we got our 5-drop Mythic, green Mythic of the set, alright. Silverback Elder, 2 generic, 3 green, creature Ape Shaman. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose 1. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, or look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them on the battlefield tab. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and then you gain 4 life. This is one of your favorite cards, yeah. I mean, they always have like some crazy 5-drop green Mythic that generates like a bunch of value. Like before it was like Elder Gargaroth. But sometimes this is actually gonna be, sometimes this is gonna be even better. Like there might be like some late game situation where you cast Silverback Elder and then you immediately cast a creature, and then you get one of these abilities. Whereas like Elder Gargaroth, you actually had to attack or block to get any of the bonus from this. Yeah. But I mean, these are all really good abilities, like being able to like destroy target artifact enchantment, gain life, or even like putting land cards on the battlefield is good, you know, especially if it's like a utility land like Field of Ruin or whatever, or Blast Zone or something. It's like depending on what you're playing. Yeah, this is gonna be bomby, and it's just already like a 6/6. It's basically a 6/6 for 5. It doesn't have any it doesn't have any combat keyword, which is like the downside. At least Gargaroth had like, you know, all these keywords, but you also don't really need to attack with this to gain the abilities either. It's just based on how many creature cards you have in your hand after you cast this. So yeah, this is gonna be bomb level. You're gonna probably have some people cast this into like 2 or 3 creatures and destroy some things. You're gonna be unhappy, but that is limited magic. Let's see. World Spell, 5 generic, 2 green, Enchantment Saga, read ahead, 1/2. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-saga permanent from among them and put in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then 3, put up to 2 non-saga permanent cards from your hand on the battlefield. This is probably more of a constructed card. For one, it costs like 7 mana, and then it's like you're going to need to have like expensive cards, preferably, to like make up for playing this. Somebody said this is basically like Tooth and Nail. It is kind of like Tooth and Nail, right? Because like it's like Tooth and Nail, except you don't search your library for creature cards. It just says like look at the top 7 cards, and you get a non-saga permanent. Yeah. So this is probably not gonna be good in it's probably not gonna be that great in limited. There's probably gonna be some situation. I mean, maybe it depends like as to the way your deck is set up. Like if you can ramp to a 7-drop, like if you can play this on turn 5, it could be really busted, right? And it doesn't necessarily like the cards you put into play off of chapter 3 don't have to be the cards that you found off chapter 1 and 2, right? See, like the fact. So let's just say on average this is getting you like a 4/4 and a 3/3, and you get to cast it for free because you paid 7 mana already. But like there could be some really broken situations where I guess you cast like a 6/6 and a 6/6 or something in the same turn. But it's got like this is probably going to be a very high variance card. Like you can try to play it, but I'm just like a little bit leery about playing like these 7-drops, right? That may or may not like make up for paying 7 mana for it. Alright, threats undetected. 2 generic, 1 green sorcery. So it's like gifts I'm given, kinda, except especially in limited, yeah. So like search your library for up to 4 creature cards with different powers to reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of the cards. Shuffle the chosen cards in your library and put the rest in your hand. Ram in the Titaness. Yeah, it's probably just gonna be used to cheat out like Great Henge or something. Well, I mean, Great Henge is usually like relatively cheap in like those decks, anyways. But yeah. So I mean, this is kind of like, you know, gifts I'm given instead of like choosing names. Yeah, it doesn't give you any cards. Yeah. Yeah, it's got some issues and limited, for sure. Yeah, gifts ungiven. There was like a similar card, like you search your library. But this actually checks for like creature card with different powers. So like you can't get like two power guys. Like it's gonna be very, very specific. And then this card doesn't seem like it's gonna be good to be playing in like your limited deck, because you would need to get like 4, like you'd need to get not only like a variety of powers, you'd have to be like okay with like your opponent giving you like the 2 worst cards from like the 4. So I'm thinking this is gonna be like get a 2/2 and a 1/1, or get like a 2/3 and a 1/3 or something like that from, you know, your library, and that doesn't seem like great. Because like a lot of the times like your powers are gonna be like 2 or 3, right? In like limited decks. Like sometimes you do get like a variety of powers, but it definitely feels like it's more meant for like constructed, where you have like combo pieces that have like different powers, and then, you know, they're like there's like some redundancy built into like your combo, so it's like it's okay if you don't necessarily get like the top 2 cards from your combo, as long as you're getting like something, right? Yeah. So I probably wouldn't play that based on like just the text. Yeah. Walls or develop boards say, yeah, like 0 power guide, but again, like how crazy are you trying to get like your 0 and 1 power wall? Yeah, because I guess the walls are more like that 0 or 1 power, so you can like get like the full 4 cards, but it just feels like it has like a lot of deck building restriction for not like a ton of upside and limited. Did they word it like that just to make people misplay? I think it's just worded like that because they wanted to do something that didn't feel like as boring as just saying like 3 different or 4 different names, combos, right? And then it actually forces you to like diversify your deck because like you can't just put like a bunch of like 2-power combo pieces in your deck because you can't get creatures with the same power. They have the different powers. It also shuffles the cards back into your library, so it doesn't combo with like reanimation, like Gifts Ungiven did. Like, oh, to choose who to shuffle in, yeah. No, I think the reason it's like that is so it doesn't combo with like reanimation, right? But yeah, I guess sometimes you did see people mess up with Gifts Ungiven, right? Like they. I think I'm pretty sure I've messed this card up before. I targeted the cards I thought I wanted them to get them, and like that's not how that works. It's like you target the card to put in the graveyard. You choose the card to put in the graveyard, but anyways. What was I talking about? Choose who to put in hand, yeah. No, I think it's just supposed to be worded like Gifts Ungiven. Well, also the reason it's like that because it's up to, right? So it's like if you could just say like, okay, your opponent chooses 2 cards you put in the hand and you put the rest in your graveyard, then you could just choose 2 cards. You could just choose 2 cards and then your opponent doesn't really have a choice. But like you like the fact that it's worded that way so that you can't just get like 2 cards. You could just get 2 cards if it's like Gifts Ungiven combo, but like Gifts Ungiven combo, you don't care. You don't care because it's going to the graveyards. You just want to like cast Unburial Rites, Flashback Elesh Norn, or Flashback Unburial Rites, reanimate Elesh Norn. Anyways, Urborg Lurgoyf, 1 generic, 1 green, kicker, 1 blue or 1 black. You may cast, So as Urborg Lurgoyf enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards for each time it was kicked. And Urborg Lurgoyf's power is equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number plus 1. So they just fixed like Tarmogoyf by. This is like the fixed version of Tarmogoyf because we knew Tarmogoyf was broken formats it's legal in, and by that I mean it's not at all. But like I mean the self mill is like relevant. Don't get me wrong, like, there's probably some decks that'll be happy to pay 4 mana to, like, mill 6 and get a creature that's probably like a 3-4 or a 5-4-5, depending on what you're. Oh, it's creature cards, it's not even card type. So yeah, I guess you have like a heavy creature deck. Sultai heavy creature deck or something, then okay. You probably want like other like self-mill stuff to complement it. I don't know if this is necessarily going to take over, like, Constructed, especially considering unlicensed hearse is still legal, but it could definitely be, like, a thing. Could be a thing. Alright, now we're on to the multicolored. We're moving on really quickly, which is good because I need to go get pizza soonish. So let's see, so we're at. Right, Sten, Paranoid Partisan, blue-white, or white-blue, legendary creature, human wizard. As Sten, Paranoid Partisan entered the battlefield, choose a card type other than a creature or land. Spells you cast as a chosen type cost 1 generic, less cast. 1 generic, 1 white, 1 blue, exile Sten. Return this to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of next end step. So this makes stuff cheaper, and you can exile it in response to a removal, or exile it when you want to reset it. I mean, it seems good. It's probably not going to be, like, super broken in, like, most limited decks, but, I mean, don't underestimate the value of, Oh, it says card type other than creature or land. Never mind. That's, like, a lot worse. I guess if you have, like, enough instant or sorcery... Okay. So maybe if you have like an instant or sorcery heavy hand, this could be really good because you can't cheapen creatures with it. Maybe. Mostly I just think this is gonna be like, you know, it's gonna be like a 2/2 that gives you a discount to like 2 or 3 spells or something like that, and maybe you reset it and make something else cheaper, but I don't know. I'm not really sure how to evaluate it. I don't think it's gonna be like super broken in like your average limited deck, because your limited deck is mostly gonna be creatures, so probably not gonna be great there. But there might be like some spot where you find this gonna be super good. Alright, Urtai Resurrected, 2 generic, 1 blue, 1 black, legendary creature, Pyrexian human wizard. He got his hair back, apparently. If anybody's curious. Like, see? Like, he doesn't have hair in this one. But he got his hair back when he was, like, resurrected. So, like, Flash, when Urtai Resurrected enters the battlefield, choose up to 1, counter target spell, activate ability, or triggered ability as controller draws a card. So this can counter Boseiju, or Odawara, and Constructed. And then destroy another target creature or planeswalker its controller draws a card. So this has some flexibility, like it's not really like card advantage unless like you destroy your own thing. But you know, there might be some situation where you just really need to counter your opponent's Boseiju, or you really need to counter, you know, whatever spell they have on the stack, or you need to destroy like their crazy planeswalker. You don't mind giving them the card and getting a flash 3/2. And you know, being able to do that in the middle of combat sometimes might change a lot of stuff, like countering a spell in the middle of combat, or destroying a creature in the middle of combat might actually be a big deal. So I think that's going to be very good. Like even if the controller gets a draw card, and sometimes you just destroy your own creature to draw a card. Like you just like, I don't know. Like there might be a situation you destroy like your 1/1 token to get another card. Maybe. Right, Ravaz of the Claw. 1 generic black red, legendary creature Viashino Warlock Menace. Tap, add 2 mana of any combination of colors. Spends mana only to cast dragon creature spells. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard. Whenever you cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard, it gains, when the creature dies, exile it. So, I mean, is this like a dragon tribal format either, or is this just basically constructed plant? Because I'm kind of thinking it's like a constructed plant at the moment, but oh wait, I need to reset this, don't I? I do not want to look at toughness anymore. Oh, that doesn't really matter. That doesn't actually matter in the set. There's like 4 dragons. So yeah, that doesn't seem all that great. I guess if you have a bomb dragon, it's a 3/3 menace for 3, you'll still play it. Just, it's not going to break anything unless like you have like one of these 6 draw, or if you have one of these things, then sure, it'll break that. I mean, if you have a bomb dragon, getting to cast it cheaper and then also like replaying it, it's kind of broken. Yeah. So I would just say this is this is fine if you like, it's a 3/3 menace if you don't have dragon, but if you have a bomb dragon, it's like it's actually going to be super good in if you're bomb dragon. Alright, Maria, Scholar of Antiquity, 1 generic, 1 red, 1 green, legendary creature, Elf Artificer. Tap an untapped non-token artifact you control, add 1 green. Tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts you control, exile a top card of library you may play at this turn. Yeah, I have to leave like around like 5 Well, I have to leave at the very latest. I need to leave like at 5:30 and stuff, so I don't think I can draft. That's what I'm just doing. You're about to stream. Oh, okay. No worries. Yeah, I'm just doing this because I said I was going to, though, like, obviously it would have been better if I had time to, like, draft first and then do it, because, like, this isn't, like, the... I don't actually normally like doing set reviews, but I'm doing it because people ask me, but anyways. Alright, so Marius Caller into a legendary creature, Elf Artificer. So yeah, only works with like non-token artifacts. So this is mostly like a 3/3 in like limited. Sometimes you'll like get value off the exile, but not always. Yeah. I don't know, I'd probably just treat this mostly as a 3/3 for 3. Alright, no worries, good luck with your stream. Alright, Ajani Sleeper Agent, 1 colorless, or 1 generic, 1 green, Pyrexian, hybrid, mana, white. Yeah, I Heart Pigs, how's it going? Legendary Planeswalker Ajani, completed. Like, so it has white up Pyrexian mana, you can either pay it, or hybrid Pyrexian mana, you can pay this one with, green, white, or 2 life, and if life was paid, the Planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters. And then +1, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or Planeswalker card, put it into your hand, otherwise you may put it on the bottom of your library. -3, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until end of turn. And then -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a creature or Planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. So, if you pay like the full mana cost on this, you can ultimate it in 3 turns, which is kind of a big deal. That's kind of scary. Because it basically means like the next 5 creatures, if you have 5 creatures after you ultimate, they die from like poison. But, yeah, like the +1... It only looks up 1 card. Like, otherwise it's like a scry. Like, yeah, not being on the -3 on. Yeah, that was what I was gonna get to that too. Is like if you paid 3 mana for it, you don't get to use the. You pay 3 mana and 2 life. You don't get to use the -3 right away. I think that's like the best case scenario is that you're doing it on minus. You're like. Yeah, if you don't 2/3 turn, if you don't care, lose it all. Yeah, but like I think that's like probably the primary thing people are gonna do is like they have like 2 or 3 creatures in play, and then go Johnny buff those creatures and give them vigilance attack. Right? Because I remember that was actually one of the better aspects of the original early Ajani from War of Spark was having vigilance on all your creatures. Stuff. So this is going to be a powerful effect, but it doesn't like 100% protect itself. You do need to have like creatures in play, but like it does make it easier to have like, you know, like it's easier to make it so that you can like attack with creatures, because like giving them vigilance is good for like the defense portion, you know, because otherwise like trying to like leave creatures back to like block your Planeswalker can be a little awkward because you're like missing out on the damage, but you really want to block. You need to have like protection for like your Planeswalker to keep it around. So, I mean, this is gonna be a good Planeswalker that you're gonna be like happy to play it. And like the hybrid mana means you can play it in like a green deck and splash the white, or you can play it in a white deck and splash the green. Right? I mean, you're gonna need to splash at least 1 pit because it's always like got at least 1 green, but it's not like, you know, it's like the hybridness is gonna help. Like the decks that it goes into. How you want to play Johnny Vermin? Yeah, well, we were looking at like the seal, but yeah, like right now, I think in mid-range constructed decks, yeah, Johnny might not be that great. Yeah, if you want to play either, I agree. Yeah, it might not be, like, the greatest idea. Alright, King Darian, the XLV III Somebody, I think somebody said it was like the 53rd, or no, is it 58th? I don't know. Anyways, legendary creature, human soldier, other creatures you call get +1/+1. That's good. Pumping your other creatures is good again, and then like 3 generic white or green white. Put a 1/1 counter on Darien. +1/+1 counter on Darien, and create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, and sacrifice King Darien. Creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible end turn. Darien extra large, yeah. If you like, so again, this is like goes in the themes of like white being go wide, and then green also like making something bigger like a counter. So this is like it goes in. Yeah, this is a bomb for sure. It's gonna be very hard to like deal with, and then like you know if they do deal with it, you can like sack it so that like your tokens get hexproof and indestructible. Or they try to wipe the board or whatever, and you have enough tokens, you just sack it. Yeah, it's really good early. It's gonna make all your attacks super good, and your blocks super good, and also builds its own little army. Yeah, it builds an army by itself, just like poop out 1/1s stuff. It's only 3 toughness, yeah. Only 3 toughness. They have time, they can deal with it, but if they don't deal with it right away, it gets out of control. Alright, Radadrabic of Urborg, 2 generic, white and black, legendary creature, zombie, wizard, vigilance, ward 2. Other zombies you control have vigilance, and whenever another legendary creature you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary. And it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. So I think there's not that many zombies outside of like the ability that like this. I mean, this can make zombies, but you need to have like enough legendary creatures to do it, right? Yeah. And then once you get like your zombie token, it's no longer legendary. So it won't go like infinite because the token is not legendary, but you'd have to like get enough legendary creatures in your deck to like make it like do anything. Otherwise, it's literally just like a 4-mana 3/3 with vigilance and ward 2 if you don't have like other legendary creatures, right? So look at zombies. Yeah. There's like 2 zombies at common. I mean, not necessarily. I mean, giving vigilance to like the 5/5 doesn't sound that bad. But yeah, this is probably pretty medium. In limited, it's gonna be like a 3/3 vigilance ward. And if you have like if you have another legendary creature dies into a 2/2. But I mean, these formats have a lot of the Zombo combo nombo that has a Disneyland Kefis version. Yeah. There's probably some combo with that card, that rare, but I haven't seen it yet exactly. Alright, Joyra, Ageless Innovator, blue, red, legendary creature, human, artificer. Tap. Put 2 Ingenuity counters on Joyra, Ageless Innovator, then you may put an artifact card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is the number of Ingenuity cards on Joyra. It's 2/3. So this is 2 mana 2/3 mostly. Like, yeah, I don't see like you really cheating out like a really expensive artifact in this set. Like, I don't even think like so that's basically like a constructed plant, right? Because I don't see like how that's gonna be that great. Like, look at artifacts. Yeah, there's nothing like really expensive in the set. Yeah, I don't. This is basically how much you want to play a 2-mana 2/3. You think? Yeah, it probably will be really good in when they get back to like artifact heavy sets, because I think the idea is that Brothers War will probably be an artifact heavy set, and like both of the new Pyrexia sets. Is it like, I don't remember how many new Pyrexia set? It might be like 2 or 3 or something, but I'm pretty sure like those new Pyrexia sets will probably have like some kind of metal craft thing or something, and then yeah, maybe it'll be really broken there. Like, I guess one thing right now is like you could use Joyra to cheat in like a whatever Lotus Bloom. You can cheat in Lotus Bloom with Joyra, but I'm not even sure how many decks play Lotus Bloom anymore. This is the thing. I don't know. We're actually kind of on good timing, because like around 5 would be like a reasonable time to like stop so I can chill out a little bit before I go to the dinner. But anyways, thanks everyone for hanging out. We're gonna finish this. Alright, Namada, Primeval Warden. 2 generic, black-green, legendary creature, tree folk, reach. If a creature opponent controls would die, exile instead. When you do, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. And then green, sacrifice a sapling, Namada, Primeval Warden, gets +2/+2 until turn. And then 1 generic, 1 black, sacrifice 2 saplings, draw a card. So people are saying this is kind of like Kalidas, except I don't know, I think Kalidas was like way more like oppressive in its like limited format. Like there is actually a lot of value in exiling opponent's creatures, because it stops recursion, and it also makes it so like that I think it's like Talus Pirate or something, like the 4-mana 3/2 flyer. Like it doesn't give them a card when it dies because it got exiled. And, I could see possibilities where if there's a lot of ways of making saprolings, this could also be good, but it might be like the saproling portion is only going to come from, like, the ability it itself has or whatever. Like, it might not be, like, a lot of ways to, like, make saproling. Yeah, there's, like, one other way to make a saproling in the set. So this is like in this limited format, you're getting your saprolings specifically from the Namada. So it might not be as broken as like if this was in the original Dominaria with like Slimefoot, it would be completely broken in half. But it's just going to be good. It's like a 3/4 reach also does like force them, like it does block pretty decently. But yeah. And it will change combat for the opponent, because they have to, like, is it just any creature? Oh yeah, it's any creature. So yeah, it's not like, I think Kalita said like non-token creature, right? I think so, yeah. Non-token. So yeah, this can actually trigger off your opponent's tokens dying. It's cool. It makes it a little bit better. It's like a little bit better than. Alright, Astor Bearer Blades. 2 generic, 1 red, 1 white. Legendary creature, human warrior. When Astor Bearer Blades enter the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an equipment or a vehicle card from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in the random order. Equipment you control have equip 1. Vehicles you control have crew 1. I think we mentioned there's only like 2 equipment, and I think there's like 1 rare vehicle in the set, so this is basically just a 4/4 for 4 that might let you find one of these. But I don't suggest you play like either of the equipment just for like this. That doesn't seem like right. But it might be like interesting and like constructed potentially. Like again, Colossus Hammer, Pioneer variant. Yeah, there's like 2 vehicles in the set. So yeah, it's kind of whatever. Ivy, Gleeful, Spell-Thief, green and blue, legendary creature, fairy rogue, flying. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, Gleeful, Spell-Thief, you may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy. So, I mean, yeah, I can copy auras, but there's only one aura we found in the set, which was like Hammer Hand. I mean, I think you're supposed to combo it with your own like pump spells and stuff. So like you pump one of your other creatures, and it also pumps Ivy. I mean, it's also just a 2/1 flyer for 2, which is already playable. But I feel like the text on that isn't going to matter a lot. Like the targeting a spell that targets this other creature other than Ivy. It is funny because like if your opponent plays like pump spells. If your opponent plays pump spells, you can like copy them. Like if they play a pump spell on their own creature, you can copy it. But they'll probably notice that, like, yeah, they shouldn't play pump spells. What's this out when you have this in play? Yeah, I don't think like that Ivy card is really meant to be like super broken and limited. It's just like it's there, you know, like sure it's there, but you just treat it like a 2/1 flyer. You treat it like a 2/1 flyer and like draft, and that's fine. Alright, Zur Eternal Schemer. White, blue, black. Legendary creature, human, wizard, flying. Enchantment creatures you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. Then 1 generic, 1 white, target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and base stuff is equal to its mana value. Each equals its mana value. So, this is like a 1/4 in So, also the cool thing about this is that this is permanent, right? Like, the animation. Like, they just permanently animate stuff, so you could, like, animate your Saga into, like, a 7/7 or something like that. I mean, it'll eventually die when it has too many chapter abilities on it. Like, I don't know, like, maybe there's, like, some... I mean, making a 7/7 lifelink Death Touch Hexproof is kind of gross, right? That's, like, a lot of abilities. A lot of ability. Like, imagine, like, I mean, maybe turning sagas into creatures isn't the best, but I mean, it has Hexproof too, right? You can turn your Prayer of Binding into a 4/4 lifelink Death Touch Hexproof, right? Because that's not an aura. Or turn, yeah, I guess it's mostly just like these white removal spells, because like if you turn a saga into a creature, it's eventually gonna die. It's awkward. Have I done any draft simulation yet? No, I mean, maybe I might do some. I'll probably be busy on Tuesday with the early access. Oh, how's it going? How's it going, by the way, Wadi Fathom? I'll probably be busy with like the early access on Tuesday, and then I might not stream on. Are we allowed Dies a Cut Down? I mean, you can if you want. Like, oh yeah, it does die to cut down. Okay, yeah, 'cause we were actually talking about that yesterday about like cut down check, because there's so many like 3/2s and 2/3s and 1/4s and etc. that die to cut down, and then there's also like 3/3s that don't die to cut down. Remember doing it for Kaldheim, and it was green and snow were amazing, yeah. Early access, you'll get a good idea. Yeah, usually early access is there's a decent number of like hardcore draft players that usually figure it out pretty quickly. You know, like Ham TV and DefC or whatever. But yeah, so it doesn't seem that powerful in like the draft format, but But I imagine like there might be like some Esper Enchantress deck that wants to play this, or I mean, it'll also go into like your whatever your existings or commander deck. But I mean, that is a big deal, giving hexproof to like your enchantment. I guess if this dies though, then it's just a then your enchantment. I mean, it's still, so if this dies, like the enchantment creature will still stay animated. It'll just lose the Death Touch, Lifelink, and hexproof, which is kind of maybe not ideal. But yeah, it's probably more of a constructed card for sure. Alright, Solkanar the Tainted. 2 generic, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red. Legendary creature, Elemental Demon. At the beginning of your end step, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Draw a card. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Solkanar the Tainted gains or deals 3 damage to up to 1 other target or planeswalker, and then exile Solkanar and return it to the battlefield under opponent's control. That's like the, oh god, art. Yeah, it sort of reminds me of like that card. I think it was like Treacherous Pit Dweller, which I remember. I think like they made a big deal about this card because like, oh, it's a 2-mana 4/3. Hey Alex, how's it going? Yeah, we're doing a little impromptu set review before I go to dinner. I have to go out to family dinner in a little bit, but yeah, Treacherous Pit Dweller, it was like a 2-mana 4/3, and then when it enters the battlefield from the graveyard, target opponent gains control of it, and it had Undying, so it's like, so Undying says when this creature dies, then no 1/1 counter will return to the battlefield as undeclared. It's like a cross between Treacherous Pit Dweller and Demonic Pact. So I don't think you're actually going to want to play this in Limited, unless you have some way to like end the game before this happens, or you have some way of like sacrificing it. So you need a sack outlet to kill this before you get here, basically. It's very high risk, high reward. It's probably going to be really, really insane. Hey, thanks for the raid, Hollywood Pizza. Oh my god, thank you very much. I hope you're doing well. Big shout out. Check my Foxy you. For those of you that are joining, my name is Mercury Blue. I usually stream Magic. I usually stream Magic 4 to 5 days a week. I'm just going over some Dominaria cards right now. I went over part 1 yesterday. It was like kind of like a partial review. We did like a lot of the commons and uncommons yesterday. I didn't go over all of them because I didn't want it to take too long, but just been going over like rares and mythics now. That's kind of cool. Alright, you gotta do some post-event stuff. Alright, good luck with that, and be sure to check out Hollywood Pizza. They're really entertaining to watch, and they have like this tournament series that people enjoy watching as well. So, check it out. Anyways, yeah. That is what I was saying. Solkanar is probably like a meme card, don't play it. There you go. Right, Soul Windgrace, 1 generic, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green, legendary creature cat avatar. Whenever Soul of Windgrace enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put a land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. So this counts, hey there Hamhawks42, how's it going? But this counts any graveyard, so you can put your opponent's like fetch land into play or whatever, if it's like constructed formats. You know, or they mill themselves, put their basic land into play under your control, and then, you know, it has like synergy with itself, because if you discard, you have like these ability to let you discard excess lands when you're flooding and then replay it. Modern Sable, I'm not sure, it costs 4 mana. That's a lot. There's probably like, there probably is like some landfall deck that might want it, I don't know, but like, I thought the landfall decks were like, somebody had maybe like hinted that like you could play this in like Yorion and just make it 5 colors, but I don't know that like Boomerjun, we can ask Reed, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this will be good in draft too, just because it has like anti-flood properties, and then you know, you can turn, like, so instead of playing those lands in your hand, they're like clogging up your hand, you can just like discard them to these other abilities and then like attack to get the lands back into the battlefield. So like kind of offsets like just discarding a land because you can just play it later from your graveyard or a graveyard. That's gonna be good. Definitely gonna be very good in drafts. Sure. Or sealed. Alright, Riff. Liberated Primeval. 2 generic, 1 red, green, and white. Legendary creature dragon, flying, ward 2. Other dragons you control have ward 2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controlled was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token flying. So excess damage means they need to have taken, like, so they need to, like, block, like, your 4/4 with a 3/3 or a 2/2 or a 1/1 or something like that. Or a 4, you know, like, if it takes excess damage, like, damage that exceeds, like, the blocker's toughness. But, like, if you're making, like, 4/4s and your opponent's having, like, chump them, it can get out of control. Right? This little rift can get out of control. And also just the fact that it's like a 5 mana ward 5 flyer that generates more 4/4 flyers. So this is a bomb if you can cast it. It's gonna be very bomby. It's gonna take over a game when you play it, like, and your opponent doesn't remove it immediately. It's gonna be hard for them to remove it. So yeah. Like if you can figure out a way to cast that. I mean, in green and I guess in red too. I think there was like a goblin with like red green. It might even be good there maybe. But 5 mana seems like a lot and like constructed. But I definitely think it's gonna be very good and it's gonna be balmy in your sealed pools and draft pools. You're gonna be happy to play it. Hamhawks could build a deck with it. Yeah, I haven't seen. Does Hamhawks do a lot of brewing? I guess there's a lot of people that do brewing, right? It's like, I've seen Hollywood Pizza do some brewing too. Brew some spicy decks. Alright, Shanna, Purifying Blade, green, white, blue, legendary creature, human warrior, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do, draw X card. X can't be greater than the amount of life you gain this turn. So, I mean, there's a 3/3 lifelink, that's good. A 3/3 lifelink for 3 is good. And then this is like your life gain payoff. Because there's, like, we saw, like, there's a bunch of random cards in this set that gain you life. Right? And I mean, the fact that it's a lifelinker means it can fuel itself too, but you need to have it in play. So, like, try rely on this to be your only life gain source is a little risky, but if you have combat tricks, then that'll be better with it. But yeah, this can be really, really powerful. Really, really powerful if you actually gain, like, you know, if you gain like 2 life after playing this and you gain 2 life, if one spawn 4 color humans. I mean, I don't know how many, like, incidental life triggers they have in that deck, though. You're talking about, like, in Pioneer and stuff. Like, I guess they have, Extraction Specialist to gain life. I'm trying to think what other life gain triggers they have. I mean, it's not a bad Coco target, right? Like, just Cocoing this out and then attacking and then gain 3, draw 3, right? Be pretty cool. It's only Extraction Specialist, yeah. I could see some potential there in Constructed, just because of 3/3 lifelink that threatens to give you more cards. It's actually pretty powerful. Like, assuming you can set up a board state where you can pay the mana for, like, the card draw and not need to add to your board state. Alright. We're pretty close. Got, like, 6 more things left. I'll try to make this fast. Maybe the one, yeah, they'll become the 5/5. Yeah, like, Archfiend's Vessel. True. I mean, it's a lifelinker. Oh, I've seen that deck, yeah, the one with Extraction Specialist and, Archfiend's Vessel is funny. Alright, Joda Unifier is Wooburg, legendary creature, human wizard. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so that just feels like it's Mega Jink. Because it's like a 5/5 for 5 that's really hard to cast. Yeah, I don't think you are Mega Commander, yeah. I mean, I guess... Yeah, if you do like Shanna or like Sisei Commander, it's gonna be a big thing there, right? Like Sisei EDH. But outside of that, I'm not sure. That definitely does not seem like a card you want to play, and you see, this is where you want to play it as a Sisei Commander. But outside of that, I don't think so. So just like pass on this in your draft. Stuff is just not like a good card to play. Are we finally made it to artifacts after all this time? Like multicolor took a little bit longer for some reason, but alright. Face commander's up. Yeah, you could just use it as your commander, right? Because if you're playing all legendaries, buffing all your legendaries seems good. Sure, so Timeless Lotus, 5 generic, legendary artifact. Timeless Lotus ends the battlefield tapped. Add Wooburg. So the fact that this entered the battlefield tapped is kind of awkward, and like, they had Gilded Lotus in like the other Dominaria set. I mean, it was also a reprint from like Mirrodin, right? Gilded Lotus, but yeah, I don't remember Gilded Lotus being that great in Dominaria, and I don't know, like, I think this is again gonna be more. This is probably gonna be more of a constructed card. If you can cast this Timeless Lotus, I don't know what else you would want to cast off of the mana from this. You can cast a 10-drop next turn, but that's a lot of mana to like spend on something that isn't like adding to the board at all. So I would just like try to avoid this card. So you have like a very specific reason to play Timeless Lotus. Golden Argosy, legendary artifact vehicle. Whenever Golden Argosy attacked, exile each creature that crewed its turn. Return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So this is basically a ETB reuse thing that I don't know how good it's going to be, because a lot of the ETBs are like kicker effects, not like just straight ETBs. Like, so this is actually probably not going to be that great in it's not going to be that great in this format. It's probably more of a constructed plant. Karn Living Legacy 4 generic legendary planeswalker Karn. +1 create a tap Power Stone token. It's an artifact with tap add colorless. This mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. Then pay any -1, pay any amount of mana, look at the many cards from the top of the library, and then put one of those cards in your hand and the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. And then -7, you get an emblem with tap an untap artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target. So this card definitely doesn't feel as good as like Karn Scion of Urza, and it's probably just going to be relegated to you know, your constructed deck, because the fact that you have to pay mana to like do the -1 is kind of awkward. Like the +1, you can only like ramp out artifacts of it. Like, I guess maybe the dream scenario is you ultimate this and you start pinging them with the Power Stones, but it feels like it's asking a lot. I would just say like this is probably not like a card you put in your deck lightly. Maybe try to avoid playing it. Part of a combo. Yeah, there's probably like some combo that works with it. The fact that the token and the battlefield tapped felt like they thought it was like broken. They needed to balance it. Hey, thanks for following Luke Tune. I appreciate it. I shake my fox at you. We're just getting close to the end of this set review, but I have part 1 up here already. So I'm normally streaming a lot of drafts, but some people had asked me to do like a set review, so I had went over like most of the commons and the uncommon yesterday, and then I went over all the rares and mythics today. And I will like upload it to YouTube also at some point, because I'm trying to get into that. But alright, Karn Silex, 3-color legendary artifact. Karn Silex entered the battlefield tapped. Players can't pay life or cast to cast spell or to activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. So in constructed, this means no Pyrexian mana. It also means not paying for, you can't pay for fetch lands that cost life. The ones that cost life, like Bloodstained Mire or whatever, and you can't pay for Force of Will. Hey there, Isaiah, how's it going? You can't pay for Force of Will either. Yeah, I think it's I think like Force of Will and Contagion are the only ones that cost mana. I think that to pay for them or whatever, like the alternate cost. Like the other ones are just like, yeah, you can't pay Contagion either. And we know how much Contagion is breaking the Alliance's constructed meta. Don't you know that? It's like, oh man. But yeah, like mostly that text doesn't matter. It's you're using this as a delayed board wipe and limited. You played Bounty. Oh, I was gonna ask like if anybody had like a Bounty to the Hunt deck that they played at some point, but that actually makes a lot of sense. It was fine, believe it or not. Yeah, I bet it probably was kind of busted in earlier, lower powered formats. You know, now they just have like a better version of that card in 2 colors, but it doesn't have like, you know, right? Remember Seeds of Strength? Oh, you're also on Yavimaya Ants. Oh, I remember that card, the one with cumulative upkeep and trample haste. It's pretty cool. Oh, they walk in the yeah, trample haste, cumulative upkeep. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I remember when Magic just had all these like ball lightning variants and stuff. You know, it's just like, cool, it has trample and haste, and it dies really soon, but, you know, it's cool because we're doing different things. Right. Hey, it's for vegans. So you're mostly using this just for the X mode. And you don't get to do it right away, so the opponent can react to it, but like the fact that it's scalable, right? Like maybe you kill every 1 and 2 mana permanent, and then you leave all the 3 mana permanent that you have in play or whatever. Does it hate elf fetch? Yes, it does hate elf fetches. It dies soon, yeah. It's like a hate piece of the Pyrexian mana stuff turned out too strong. People said it's also a combo with Karn the Great Creator, because he can get it back, right? It might be a modern staple, I don't know, it looks a little slow, because it's also under the battlefield tap, but like it's a combo here because you can actually get the Silex back with Karn the Great Creator. Because its exile is part of its ability, or its activation that exiles. So I don't know how relevant that's gonna be, but I am kind of excited about the idea of like you know, like a pernicious deed type effect, because like the closest thing they had to that in Pioneer or Modern before was like, you know, Granite Gate. I think Gaze of Granite or something like that, which is really bad. Right. Like, this is worse if you needed to clear the board right away. But I mean, Pernicious Deed also has the option, like you don't do it. It's just really expensive to play it. Gaze of Granite, yeah. Like the closest thing people play to that is like you gotta play like Engineered Explosives, which only deals with like one mana value, or Crime and Punishment, which like only deals with one value also. That's like scalable. Like, I think the main reason Punishment is good in Modern is because it can destroy Urza Saga, because Urza Saga is a enchantment with mana value 0. Assuming you do it on 0, it kills Urza Saga and all the construct tokens. So, that's why you saw like people getting excited about Crime and Punishment for a little while. Alright, this is like the last artifact, it looks like. Weatherlight completed. 2 generic legendary artifact vehicle flying. As long as Weatherlight completed has 4 or more Pyresis counters on it, it's a Pyrexian creature in addition to its other types. Whenever a creature you control died, put a Pyresis counter on Weatherlight completed, and then draw a card that has 7 or more Pyresis counters on it if it doesn't scry 1, 5/5. So, it's a vehicle, it doesn't have crew. The only way for it to turn into a creature is, I guess, if you animate it with some other effect, like not in a set or whatever, or if it has like 4 or more Pyresis counters on it. So you need to have like creatures you control dying and stuff. But I don't know, there might be like some really cool token generating black sacrifice deck. Like I could see, like, if you're playing this with, like, Namada or something like that, or another thing that makes it or even, like, that red-black legend. There's, like, a red-black legend that makes tokens that die. That would work with it. Right, the red-black legends. So, I mean, I think it could be good. It's just... You'd have to understand that, like, this is just going to be, like, a scry 1 for, like, a little bit, and then, I guess, if you somehow get to, like, the 7 or more Pyresis count, it's going to be pretty insane, right? Drawing a card every time one of your creatures dies. That feels like it's pretty absurd there, because also just, it doesn't even care if it's a token or not. The token makers are kind of, like, your best way of getting this to work, like this... You know, this Legomos or whatever, or just anything else that makes like 1/1 tokens, like goblins or soldiers. And like Kosu, yeah, it's probably like a terrible top deck. Yeah, no, you're right, because it doesn't block. You want to play it early and then have a bunch of stuff die. And then, I guess once it's a creature, it does have like the risk that like it might die to like removal. But like we were talking about how it seems like for like there's a lot of 4 mana 3/3s. Lightning Strike kills all the X3s. Like 4 is like a pretty good toughness amount. Like 5's even better because there's less things that hit like a 5. Like there's like a 5 mana deal 5 or something like that. But then you know there's like just like you know these are like a 4 damage here and stuff. So like. It feels like, I guess, it feels sort of like, New Capenna in that regard, like how people said, like, oh, X4s are pretty good in that format. Right? Like, X4s are good in that format, and then X5s are even, like, better, because, like, you'd have to play, like, a really bad removal spell, or, like, have murders or something to kill, like, an X5. Did I learn anything from this format? I mean, I think it does feel like it feels like they've wanted to make it kind of slow. Right, because like there's these really expensive like kicker cards. And there aren't like super aggressive like 1-drops in the format either. Like I think if this was a format that had like a bunch of like network disruptors or something, or Okiba Reckoner raids, I would say like that's like a aggressive can't block format. But like this format just feels like if they wanted to be playing all these like tap lands and like 6 or 7 cost kicker cards that was sort of supposed to be slow. It's not to say that you couldn't have like an aggressive deck. You know, there's like a lot of like ways to like go wide and also go tall with like endless and stuff, but like I think basically like there aren't like a ton of like super hyper efficient 2-drops either outside of like that green uncommon, which I thought was really good. The like this card's really good. Yavimaya Iconoclast. This is basically like it's a 3/2 trample for 2, or a 4/3 trample haste. And then I think there was also like I mentioned that I think in Isaiah's Discord there was like a blue uncommon like this Battle Wing Mystic. I like it because it's a 2-drop flyer that's like actually pretty good to play this early, and then late game you just get to like draw 2 off of it. You just like assuming you have red, you pay like 3 mana, 2/1, draw 2 cards. It's like does like a Mole Drifter ish impression. Yeah. Late game it's also really good. Yeah. Yeah, just getting the that's what I like about Kicker is that it makes all these it makes all these like early game plays good later. Welcome turn, yeah. Well, I mean, there is like a 1/3 reach creature and a 4/4 reach creature, right? And green at common. Like, I don't know how much people are gonna play Snare Spinner. Like, this card seems more like a sideboard card. But this is a card you'd already play. And then there's like a 4 mana 5/5 reach also in red, but it also costs 5 mana. There's also some amount of like things that punish you for playing X1s. Not like a ton of it, but like, you know, there's the Goblin, I guess, like this Splatter Goblin. This could punish you for playing too many X1s. And then there was like a red spell that's probably more like the Smash that does is probably more of a sideboard card though, but that also punishes you for playing too many X1s. Right. Like this punishes you for playing X1. And then like that rare that also punishes you for playing X1, but that's all rare, like so I don't know how often it's gonna come up. This thing. This punishes you for playing X1s also. Like this could punish you for playing X1 potentially. Like I don't know. I'm not sure how great this is gonna be, but maybe it could be good if you have enough 1/1 tokens or the 2/1 elemental summoning guy. It's just like because the elemental's gonna die anyway, so you might as well sack them after combat and like turn them into like damage. So I don't think there's like a lot else to like add. I mean, aside from what I said, I'm still a little skeptical about the instant sorcery deck. That's the only thing I can think of because it does seem like there was a fair number of things that trigger off of you casting an instant or sorcery, but I don't know how many like great instant and sorceries. I mean, there's good instant and sorceries, but it might be harder to like do that compared to like the sack outlet for the demon. Yeah, that's a good point. If you actually have that mythic, you're gonna definitely want a sack outlet for it because you don't want to give your opponent Solkanar, right? That's going to be there's probably going to be there's probably going to be at least one like Channel Fireball top 5 clip where somebody dies to like their own They die to their own, like, Solkanar, because, like, oops, died to my own Solkanar, this sucks. Heal. Just draft 4 lightning strikes, yeah. Yeah, it is kind of surprising to see this at common again, since it's been, like, uncommon for a while or whatever, but, like, I mean, they kind of they change their opinions on stuff all the time. Like, sometimes murder is an uncommon, sometimes it's a common, you know. Want to watch a channel fireball die? Is it too much attackers? Boros kick. Oh yeah, we know. Yeah. That was also like another insane uncommon. Was a cleaving Skyrider. The card looks really insane. Cause just damage. It's like damage to the face or you know, damage to a creature, and you can play it. You can play it in response to your opponent's attacks too. Like you're saying, like maybe your opponent attacks with like 5 creatures when they're at 5 life, and then you kick it, and then they die. Yeah, it's just really flexible. I like it, and this is also probably gonna be a mythic uncommon because it's a 2/3 lifelink for 2 that also is Gravedigger. If you kick it, it's also an uncommon. But was there anything else that people wanted to talk about? And then we're like done